Chapter 54-46. The entire 10,000 dragon court went crazy. A large number of dragons soared into the sky and followed the Grand Elder into the distance. Those that had not grown up stayed here to guard. The Great Emperor formation of the 10,000 dragon court was activated and isolated everything. The people on the buried Emperor Star were also stunned. What had happened for the 10,000 dragon court to act so crazily? They seemed to be heading to the Tianxian land. Could it be that they were going to kill Lin Wuti again? Impossible. The 10,000 dragon court did not have the ability now. Lin Wuti had completely grown up. It was too difficult for the 10,000 dragon court to kill Lin Wuti alone. But why do I feel that this murderous intent seems to be going all out? Countless experts were discussing in low voices. Even those great emperor families were shocked. For example, the people of the Kunpeng clan frowned tightly. It's the Tianxian land. Your Highness, did you feel a special aura? Those divine ancestors looked at Kunpeng. Kunpeng also frowned. A divine treasure land seemed to have appeared on the Tianxian land. The information inside was too terrifying. Not only them, the Fire Qilin clan was the same. Cold light burst out from Fire Spirit Z's eyes. Let's go and take a look. They soared into the sky. At this moment, countless people followed them. They wanted to see what had happened on the Tianxian land. Although the people of the 10,000 dragon court were crazy, they still did not understand why the elder wanted them to go to the Tianxian land. During the transportation process, the elder said that the Tianxian land had the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb and it had already been opened. Lin Wuti wanted to attack their ancient tomb. As soon as these words were spoken, the dragons that followed them went completely crazy. What? Our Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. It was there. Damn it, no one was allowed to step in. Kill Lin Wuti. Their eyes were red as they charged out crazily. While the 10,000 dragon court flew, they activated the Peerless formation at an extremely fast speed. Soon they arrived at the Tianxian land and let out waves of dragon roars. Lin Wuti, if you dare to make a move, we will let you die without a burial place. The roars of the 10,000 dragons made everyone on the Tianxian land go crazy. The dragons also came? Then they fainted from fright. This was because other than the dragons, the Kirins and the Kunpengs had also arrived. The Gu clan had arrived, the Z mansion had arrived, and the other remote antiquity clans and peerless sects had all arrived. At this moment, all the top powerhouses on the buried Emperor Star had gathered at the Tianxian land. The Tianxian land itself also had many top-notch families and sections. They had already made their move. They arrived at the vicinity of the Dragon Emperor territory. Of course, they didn't dare to get too close. The aura in front was too terrifying, but they still saw the scene in front of them. They were stunned. What was originally an ordinary mountain range had actually turned into a paradise on earth. What was that? Why do I feel boundless Emperor's might? They hadn't thought about the Dragon Emperor's tomb yet. After all, the Dragon Emperor's tomb had never appeared before. All of a sudden, they saw the space in front of them being torn apart as tens of thousands of dragons descended. 100,000 experts of the Dragon Dynasty. These ancient families were shocked. They actually came so quickly. The dark red divine dragon and the others also frowned. Lin Xian was unmoved. He wore a calm expression because everything was within his plan. He was attacking the Dragon Emperor's tomb, so the other party would definitely come. Therefore he was not surprised. Master Long Mu. After the three supreme elders in the lead had descended, they immediately asked what was going on. Long Mu said coldly, "Stop them and don't allow anyone to step in. Don't worry, this is the Dragon Emperor's territory, no one can enter." The three supreme elders pointed their swords forward, and the other experts of the dragon tribe roared at the sky as well. Their cold eyes stared at everything. Get lost. The furious roars of tens of thousands of dragons sounded like millions of thunder in the sky. At this moment, the 9 heavens and 10 earths were shattering. Those remote antiquity clans felt their scalps go numb as they took 3 steps back. At this moment, the Kunpeng clan, Kirin clan, Gu clan, and Z mansion had all arrived. They were also shocked when they saw this scene. These were all emperor clans. They cried out in surprise. Could it be the Dragon Emperor's tomb? Behind them were the remote antiquity clans and peerless sects, such as the Golden Crow clan and the Wind clan. After hearing this, they were also shocked. The Dragon Emperor's tomb? The tomb of an emperor? It actually appeared. And it was Lin Xian who had done it. No wonder the scene was so shocking. No wonder the 10,000 Dragon Empire was so crazy. The Dragon Emperor's tomb was almost opened. This Lin Wuti was too bold. The Golden Crow clan's people felt their scalps go numb. The other great emperor clans also wore solemn expressions. The Yi clan's people sighed. They had known about this long ago, but they did not participate because they had their own concerns. On the other side, the Fire Qilin Cave and the other emperor clans were shocked. Great, if the tomb of an ancient emperor could be opened. Then there would definitely be endless treasures inside. After they obtained it, they would definitely be able to improve by leaps and bounds. More importantly, this was not their clan's tomb, so they did not have to worry at all. Fire Qilin sneered. These dragons were really unlucky. Even the Dragon Emperor's tomb had been discovered. In addition, the people of the Kuanpeng clan also frowned. This shouldn't be. They were also emperor clans. Their emperor's tomb was hidden very well and was protected by a great emperor's array formation. Even a quasi-emperor couldn't discover it. Unless another great emperor appeared, they would only discover it. But now, how did Lin Xian discover it? Actually, Lin Xian discovered it by coincidence. If he hadn't injured Long Mu and left the aura of the great dragon sword soul in Long Mu's body, he wouldn't have been able to discover it. He probably wouldn't have discovered it. Of course, no one knew about this. If Long Mu knew, he probably wouldn't have attacked Lin Xian even if he was beaten to death. Lin Wudi, leave quickly. I can let bygones be bygones. If you dare to take another step forward, I will destroy your soul. The dragon's divine ancestor roared crazily. They were really crazy. My Dragon Emperor's tomb is not something you can enter. Now scram. Another angry roar. The 10,000 dragons diagram appeared and floated between heaven and earth. It borrowed the power of the dragon territory and completely erupted. It was as if it was going to revive completely. Sensing this scene, the scalps of the others went numb. It seemed that the 10,000 dragons dynasty didn't intend to hold back at all. Lin Xian snorted coldly. 3 extreme weapons also rose above their heads to block the 10,000 dragons diagram. Lin Xian laughed loudly. 10,000 dragons dynasty, did you think that this day would come when you were chasing me? You tried to assassinate me several times. Every time you joined forces with others to launch a sure-kill attack on me. Today it's time to let you know the consequences of offending me. I must enter the Dragon Emperor's tomb today. His voice was sonorous, and his eyes were filled with incomparable light. Chapter 54-47. The powerhouses of the 10,000 Dragon Court emitted an endless aura. The extreme weapon, the 10,000 Dragons picture, spun in the sky, emitting a terrifying light that suppressed everything. Apart from that, these dragons also had a few sacred weapons in their hands as well as other treasures. They were facing a great enemy. Lin Xian sneered. Do you think that only a few of us came this time? What a joke. With that, he waved his hand and a sword light shot up into the sky, circling the world. The entire burial earth star could see it. It was like a sun. The surrounding void continued to shatter, and violent rumbling sounds could be heard. One after another, teleportation portals appeared. Then, one figure after another appeared in the super teleportation portals. They were like demonic gods standing above the 9 heavens. Their terrifying auras swept out in all directions. What a terrifying power. The surrounding people were also shocked. These were people from the Divine Union. They realized that these were indeed people from the Divine Union. The Nalan family, the Dugu family, the Fire Dragon family, and even people with 9-star immortal foundations appeared. These people had sent out their top experts with the Great Sage Army. After they appeared, they swept through the area. Not only that, but the people from the Heavenly Court also came. The Phoenix family also sent their experts. These 2 forces were even more terrifying. They appeared above the 9 heavens. They were facing off against the 10,000 Dragon Court. The 10,000 Dragon Court frowned instantly. Although they were from the Emperor family and had a strong foundation, the Divine Union was growing rapidly. However, the current Divine Union was developing at a terrifying pace. Furthermore, Lin Xian had 3 extreme-grade weapons. There were so many experts. If they really fought, they might not be able to hold on. Damn it. The dragons of the 10,000 Dragon Court gritted their teeth. Unknowingly, Lin Wudi had grown to this extent? Even the Emperor clans were alarmed? The other clans and sects also sucked in a breath of cold air. This Lin Wudi was really not to be trifled with. Summon dragons for me. Long Mu snorted coldly. The 10,000 dragons roared in the sky. They were also summoning dragons. The 10,000 Dragon Court was a branch of the dragons. Other than that, there were other dragons. For example, the Dragon Sea Dragons, Thunder Dragons, Wind Dragons, and so on. At this moment, all of them had been summoned. Both sides faced each other, and it seemed like a great battle was about to break out. The other families and sects felt their scalps go numb. This kind of battle was equivalent to 2 emperor clans fighting. It would definitely be able to sweep through everything. If he ran any slower, he would probably be reduced to ashes. Lin Wuti, how dare you attack the Dragon Emperor's tomb of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty? Kneel and accept your death. Dragon Sea Lord roared madly. His son had also died in the hands of the other party. At this moment, his eyes were bloodshot. Lin Xian snorted coldly. I said that your 10,000 Dragon Dynasty has tried to kill me many times and now you have to suffer my wrath. My goal today is to punish you and open the Dragon Emperor's tomb. Courting death. Attack. Long Mu roared out in rage. The powerful beings of the dragon race rushed over in a frenzy. On the other side, the members of the Divine Union also made their move. The two sides instantly engaged in a fierce battle. All sorts of laws emerged one after another, sweeping through the 9 heavens. At this moment, everyone was stunned. It wasn't that they hadn't experienced a great battle before. In fact, those who had come here were all top powerhouses and terrifying sages. They had experienced countless battles. However, none of them were like this. What kind of battle was this? This was a battle between two people at the Emperor clan level. With so many sages attacking at the same time, the momentum was really terrifying. Even the people from the great Emperor clans sucked in a cold breath. For so many years, their Emperor clans had been high and mighty, the strongest existence in the universe. No one had ever dared to challenge them. Even those ancient families had to bow their heads in front of them. Apart from that, although the other Emperor clans had conflicts with each other, it had never reached the point of falling out. Not to mention attacking in such a frenzied manner without regard for anything else. Therefore, at this moment when they saw this battle they were also shocked. How many years had it been since they had felt such fear? They stared at one person among the millions of people, Lin Wuti. Was this young man going to sweep through the entire Burial Earth Star alone? Did he already dare to start a war with the Emperor clans? Who would be able to suppress him in the future? Should they make a move? The young geniuses of the Purple Mansion and the Fire Qilin Cave looked at their elders. At this time they should join forces with the 1,000 Dragon Court to attack Lin Wuti. They had to let everyone know how powerful the Emperor clans were. Otherwise their reputation would plummet in the future. However, the sacred ancestors of the Purple Mansion and the Qilin clan frowned. Their gazes were uncertain. They didn't make a move. To be honest, they should help the 1,000 Dragon Court. The Emperor clans were not to be challenged. But the situation now was completely different. Lin Wuti was too powerful. Perhaps he really could open the ancient tomb. Once he opened it, everyone could enter. Then, they would also be able to obtain an opportunity. Moreover, even if the 1,000 Dragon Court wanted to take revenge, they would only look for Lin Xian who had opened the ancient tomb and not them. Moreover, this was an era of great competition. In this era, there would definitely be a great emperor rising into the sky. Therefore, the battle between these big clans in this era was more intense than in any other era. Therefore, they didn't want to help the 1,000 Dragon Court. Of course, they wouldn't help Lin Wuti either. They just wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. After the outcome was decided, they would be able to make a move. Kill. The sound in front shook the 9 heavens. The dark red dragon led the people of the Black Sea Dragons and charged towards the Dragon Sea clan. The two sides were also mortal enemies. Killing intent surged as the two dragons fought. The momentum was great. On the other side, Baisusu led the people of the Divine Union and swept in all directions. The battle between the two sides was really intense. In an instant it was difficult to determine the outcome. They were tied. The faces of the people from the 10,000 Dragons dynasty turned ugly. They were the Emperor clans. However, at this moment, they were actually unable to suppress the other party and were even tied? What was going to happen next? They didn't dare to imagine. Long Mu also shouted coldly and fully awakened. 1,000 Dragons diagram. With a roar, endless power surged out of the dragon territory. The dragons also took out a lot of power. In the starry sky above the 9 heavens, stars collapsed and turned into powder. The power instantly surged into the 1,000 Dragons diagram. At this moment, the 1,000 Dragons diagram completely erupted. Everyone was sent flying and vomited blood. The others were terrified. A few of the Emperor clans also hurriedly retreated. They used extreme weapons to defend themselves. The 1,000 Dragons diagram fully awakened. An extreme attack was enough to turn any sect into ashes. The people of the Divine Union were terrified. They couldn't resist this power. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Fully awaken. Desolate Tower. With a roar, Murong Qingqing raised the Desolate Tower. The Desolate Tower bloomed between heaven and earth, emitting a desolate aura. The forces that they had prepared previously were also activated. Chapter 54-48. Fight in the 9 heavens. The Gu family, the Kunping family, and the other great emperor clans roared crazily. They would not allow such an extreme battle to happen. On Burial Earth Star, after the two extreme weapons returned, they tore through the void. They came to the universe and fought a shocking battle. With this strike, hundreds of worlds in the outer realms were reduced to ashes in an instant. An extremely terrifying power had occurred. Everyone looked up at the sky. When they saw this scene, they were all terrified. If this attack landed on the Tianyuan continent, the entire Tianyuan continent would probably be turned into ashes. The expressions of those great emperor clans turned cold. They were high and mighty, ruling the 8 desolates. However, they did not dare to have such an extreme battle on Burial Earth Star. After all, there were too many existences buried here. There was the Dragon Emperor's tomb here, and there might be other great emperors' tombs. There might even be people from the Forbidden Lands. If they really attacked these people, who knew what would happen? After the attack, the two extreme weapons flew back. The people of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty had extremely ugly expressions. They did not expect the other party to have the power to resurrect the extreme weapons. Damn it, this way they would lose their advantage. This was because Lin Shen still had 2 extreme-grade weapons. The Green Lotus swept across the 8 desolates, and many of the dragon's experts were turned into ashes. The sky-swallowing jar swallowed the sky and the earth, and those dragon's experts were about to go crazy. No, they retreated in horror. This was a complete beating. No matter how strong the 10,000 Dragons portrait was, it could not block 3 extreme weapons. Was the Dragon clan going to be finished today? They were all desperate. Long Mu's expression was also extremely ugly. Damn it, if she became a quasi-emperor, she could definitely defeat the other party with the 10,000 Dragons portrait. However, it was a pity that he only had 1 foot out of the Saint Realm. She was not a true quasi-emperor yet. Of course, she would not let these people enter so easily. The other dragon's sacred ancestors shouted angrily, "Fellow Taoists, please attack. Fellow Taoists of the Purple Mansion sect and the Gu family. Fellow Taoists of the Qilin clan." They began to frantically ask for help. However, the Fire Qilin said, "I'm sorry, seniors of the dragons. This is between you and Lin Wudi. We can't interfere." Those from the Purple Mansion also shook their heads and didn't make a move. At this moment, the dragons went crazy. The people from before were no longer willing to help them. Long Mu also shouted coldly. There was no need to beg them. They were just going to sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight. If we lose, these people will enter the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb like crazy. The other people who had attacked him sucked in a breath of cold air. The older generation sighed while the younger generation despaired. So cruel. Both sides were emperor clans, shouldn't they help each other? Yet now, the other imperial clans actually wanted to devour them. Don't worry, the 10,000 Dragons picture is of their arch family. It has stood tall in the universe for tens of thousands of years. Our foundation is not that simple. If Lin Wudi wanted to enter the Dragon Emperor's tomb, he would have to pay the price. The people from the 10,000 Dragon dynasty were all excited. They clenched their fists. What other powerful trump cards do you have? They were filled with anticipation. However, in the next moment they were dumbfounded. That was because Long Mu had told them to enter the ancient tomb. What? The people of the 10,000 Dragon dynasty went crazy. Even the Grand Elder's pupils constricted. My lord, you can't. The Dragon Emperor is our ancestor. No one is allowed to disturb him. That's right, what right does Lin Wudi have to enter our Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb? He's not worthy. These people roared crazily. Long Mu also said, of course I know that he's not worthy. But the current situation is the greatest crisis that the 10,000 Dragon dynasty has encountered in the past tens of thousands of years. There have never been 3 extreme weapons against us together. Not to mention there are other the arch families eyeing us covetously. Right now, the 10,000 Dragon dynasty alone couldn't stop him. However, the Dragon Emperor didn't only leave behind the 10,000 Dragon dynasty, but also the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. I'm the tomb keeper, I'm guarding this place. But I can only move around the periphery of the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. But even so, I'm about to become a quasi-emperor. One could imagine how many secrets there were in the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. However, the Dragon Emperor didn't plan to let others in on these secrets. Even I can't enter the depths of the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. There are too many dangers inside. According to my deduction, even a quasi-emperor would have a slim chance of survival if he went in. He might not even be able to come out alive. Therefore, these people were too reckless to have any ideas about the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. Let them die in the ancient tomb. These words were transmitted to everyone in the nest of 10,000 dragons by Long Mu. After these people of the 10,000 Dragon dynasty heard it, they were also shocked. To be honest, they really didn't know anything about the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. The only person they could trust now was Lord Long Mu, because Long Mu was the tomb keeper of the Dragon Emperor. Since he said it was okay, the other people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty didn't dare to object. They nodded. All right, we'll do as Lord Long Mu said. Lord Long Mu's eyes also shone with a cold light. Don't worry this time, let Lin Wudi and the Arch families explore. We'll follow behind. Once there are treasures, we'll snatch them. And if there's any danger, let Lin Wudi and the Arch families bear it. There was also a cold light in his eyes. To be honest, he also wanted to enter the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb, but he wasn't qualified. In this world, the only one who was qualified was the Dragon Prince. However, the Dragon Prince had died before he could fully mature. Therefore, no one else could enter the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. Long Mu knew that the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had lost a prince. In the future, it would be very difficult for them to compete with the Arch families. This time, opening the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb might be an opportunity. If he could become a boundary emperor, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would be able to rise to a higher level. In the future, they might not be at a disadvantage. At the thought of this, he took a deep breath and the fists in his sleeves trembled. He walked out and said loudly, Lin Wudi, do you want to enter the Dragon Light ancient tomb? All right, I'll fulfill your wish. When these words came out, Lin Xian was stunned. The people of the Divine Union were also stunned. Did the other party agree? That was impossible. They felt like they were dreaming. The surrounding Arch families were also stunned. Had the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty gone crazy? They were also shocked. The people of the Kunping race sighed. They had no choice. If they didn't help, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty wouldn't be able to resist the three extreme weapons. Qilin's son narrowed his eyes. He had really succeeded. Looks like we should also prepare to take action. Their eyes also shone with a cold light. It was the same for the people of the Purple Mansion. Everyone was eager to enter. Lord Long Mu snorted coldly. It wasn't just Lin Wudi. Anyone else could enter if they wanted to. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty seemed to be completely open, shocking everyone. Even the people from the Imperial clans started to frown again. This situation was completely out of their expectations. Originally, they wanted to fight their way in. However, the other party was allowing them to enter directly. Chapter 54-49. At this moment, everyone was confused. The Thousand Dragon Court's attitude didn't seem right. Lin Xian also frowned. He knew that he could enter this time, but he hadn't expected it to be so easy. He had only resisted one extreme-grade weapon. Had he entered? That wasn't possible. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty was simply too spineless. Or did they have other plans? The dark red dragon flew back and said, Kid, be careful. That's the Dragon Emperor's tomb. The Dragon Emperor must have set up other traps. It might be extremely dangerous. The Thousand Dragon Court has lost to us in terms of extreme-grade weapons. They can't beat us, but they can use us to kill us. They can use the Dragon Emperor's power to kill us. Murong Qingqing Yen Ryu, and the others also frowned and looked at Lin Xian. What should they do? Lin Xian took a deep breath and said, Isn't our purpose here to enter the Dragon Emperor's tomb? Now that we can enter, what are we waiting for? After saying that, Lin Xian walked forward. Murong Qingqing and the others also said, Okay, let's go. The Divine Union people followed Lin Xian in. Lin Wudi entered. The Fire Qilin also frowned when he saw this. Then he snorted, Let's go too. Apart from them, the other monarch and remote antiquity families also entered. That was because this was a great opportunity for him. Even though they knew that there was danger inside, they didn't want to miss it. This was the tomb of a great emperor. Perhaps one of them would open. If they missed this opportunity, they wouldn't have another chance in their lifetime. The Thousand Dragon Court people gritted their teeth when they saw these people enter. However, Lord Long Mu sneered, Come on in. Don't even think about leaving. He was very confident in the Dragon Emperor's tomb. These people would regret it and feel despair. After these people went in, he waved his hand and led the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court to follow behind them. Lin Xian walked at the front. He was surrounded by powerful flames like a god of war that swept in all directions. Of course, he didn't dare to be careless. This was the tomb of a great emperor. There was definitely danger. He had known this for a long time. However, he had come this time in order to gather resources so that his divine flame seed could grow quickly. The dark red dragon god, Murong Qingqing, and the others gasped when they saw the scene around them. As expected of the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb, this space was called the Dragon Emperor's domain. The mountains and rivers inside were truly too terrifying. They carried a primordial aura and supreme laws. Every leaf and flower was incomparably mysterious and unfathomable. Suddenly, an old tree in front of them let out a roar that sounded like the roar of a divine dragon. It was extremely terrifying. His voice spread out in all directions. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He let out a roar and took out the firmament battle map to defend himself. The battle map kept enlarging and enveloping him and the people from the Divine Union. The others were also shocked and quickly put up their defenses. The people from the Emperor clan also took action. Of course, not everyone was able to withstand it. In the blink of an eye, thousands of sages were turned into ashes and blood rained down. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. They had just entered and thousands of experts had already fallen in the face of a group of ancient trees. How terrifying would it be if they continued going in? Some people from the clans and sects hesitated. Although this was a great opportunity, they didn't have the strength to do so. They didn't dare advance any further. However, more people still braced themselves and continued forward. Lin Xian, who was in front, made his move once again. With a wave of his hand, the firmament battle map flew out and chopped down the ancient tree that had let out that roar. On top of that, he also collected all the spiritual medicines in the surroundings and threw them into the sky-devouring jar. The people around them also made their moves quickly. Of course, the people from the Emperor clan didn't make a move. They didn't care about such things. What they wanted was the core item inside. At the same time, they were also puzzled. Why had Lin Wuti made a move? Judging by his appearance, he didn't seem like someone who lacked resources. After all, the Divine Union had already grown into a colossus. Actually, even the people from the Divine Union were very puzzled. Hadn't they given Big Boss Lin any resources? That shouldn't have been the case. Only a few people knew that Lin Xian needed too many resources. Even if the entire Divine Union gave him all of it, it still wouldn't be enough. They reckoned that it wouldn't be enough. That was why Lin Xian had set his sights on the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. Everywhere he passed, the spiritual flowers and spiritual trees were all uprooted. The people following behind him had strange expressions on their faces. They were like locusts. Wherever they passed, everything ceased to exist. The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty were gnashing their teeth. Lord Longmu was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He had never imagined that Lin Wuti would actually be so despicable. I'll just bear with it and wait for you guys to be unlucky later. He knew that there was an extremely dangerous place ahead that even he didn't dare enter rashly. Lin Xian led the way while the people from the Emperor clan followed with gloomy expressions. Meanwhile, the other clans and sects also started to collect as many things as they could. The Emperor clan didn't care about these things. However, they treated them like priceless treasures. In an instant, the entire scene was very lively. Boom. Suddenly, the vines in front of them danced and turned into a bolt of lightning that was thousands of meters long, slashing towards the surroundings. One slashed towards Lin Xian's side, while the other slashed towards the others. Instantly, another intense sound erupted. Lin Xian blocked the attack and came to a stop. The others weren't so lucky. They were instantly severed and screamed on the ground. Many people were directly destroyed in body and soul. The others sucked in a breath of cold air. Two vines were already so terrifying. What was this? Was it an extremely terrifying demonic beast? Yen Ruyu and the others were also facing a great enemy. The ancient tomb of the earth was definitely not to be underestimated. Great, it has appeared. Behind them, Lord Longmu sneered. He said to the people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty, "Let's hurry up and retreat. There's an extremely terrifying existence ahead." Although he was a tomb keeper, he could only go so far. Because of the existence ahead, he couldn't continue to go deeper. This was an obstacle that he had been unable to break through for thousands of years. Hence, in his opinion, the people ahead couldn't enter at all. The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty were also shocked when they heard this. They retreated while feeling curious. What exactly was ahead? Was it a plant-type demonic beast? Could it be that the Dragon Emperor personally planted it? They were all looking forward to it. It would be best if they could kill these people. Some ancient families and peerless sects gritted their teeth. They stared fixedly at the vines. Damn it. What a terrifying demonic beast. Should they go around it? No, these vines were thousands or even tens of thousands of meters long. How could they go around it? Their faces were pale. Lin Xian's face darkened. His gaze passed through the vines and looked even further away. Chapter 5450. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light as he stared ahead. There was a mountain range in front of him and the vines kept circling around. However, Lin Xian could see that there was a cave behind the vines. There was a black figure hidden in the cave. Hearing Lin Xian's cold shout, the black figure in the cave let out a low roar. Then it pounced over like lightning towards Lin Xian. His attack enveloped everyone. Damn it, what is this? Those people sensed this aura and felt as if they were facing a great enemy. They shouted angrily and retreated. However, it was useless. After the black figure came out, tens of thousands of vines danced together and charged towards the great emperor family and the clan of the ancients. Hurry up and attack. These people shouted angrily and attacked one after another. Lin Xian was also cold. He used his finger like a sword and slashed out. A biting cold sword light charged forward. An earth-shattering sound was heard as the black figure was forced back. The blood of the others surged as they looked carefully. What is that? It was so terrifying. In the next moment they saw a huge monster. It was a demonic beast that looked very ferocious and had a monstrous murderous aura on its body. As soon as it appeared, everyone's scalps went numb. When the elder of the Kunpeng clan saw it, he exclaimed in shock. Qiongqi, it's the demonic beast Qiongqi. What? It's actually such a terrifying demonic beast. Qiongqi is a very famous ancient beast. I didn't expect to see it here. Damn it. We've just entered the Dragon Emperor's tomb and we've already encountered such a terrifying demonic beast? Behind them, the people of the Thousand Dragon Court were also shocked. Lord Longmu's face was cold. This demonic beast was very terrifying. Even he was stopped and didn't dare to go deeper. Of course, he felt that he could suppress it with his full strength. However, this was a trap set up by the Dragon Emperor after all, and he was just a tomb keeper. Therefore, after trying a few times and failing, he stopped moving forward. However, he felt that it was enough to stop Lin Wudi and the others. After Qiongqi came out, it roared and charged over. The murderous aura on its body rushed out, forming terrifying rays of light. It swept in all directions. Many people couldn't withstand it at all and were instantly sent flying. Their bodies were torn apart. Some of them were directly destroyed in body and soul. As for those from the Emperor clan and the others, they all used their exceptional divine abilities to resist. Damn it, quickly disperse. Previously they felt that it was dangerous to follow behind Lin Xian, so they let Lin Xian block them. They can reduce some of the damage. But now, it seemed that it was impossible. Lin Xian could block it but they couldn't. We have to spread out. In an instant the crowd dispersed. Bai Susu asked with a frown. Lin Xian, should we make a move? The reincarnation light in Lin Xian's eyes continued to blossom as he stared at Qiongqi. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up as he snorted coldly. Of course he had to make a move. Not only did he have to make a move, he also had to obtain the demonic energy core inside it. Boom. Boom. The battle behind them was extremely terrifying. Those people from the Gu family used their void divine abilities to escape. The elder of the Phoenix tribe shouted angrily. He turned into an immortal shadow and slammed his palms onto Qiongqi's body. He let out an earth-shaking sound. Qiongqi roared angrily. He was forced back but he wasn't injured. Then, he swung his tail and turned it into a heavenly blade that charged towards the other side. The people of the Kunpeng race used their yin and yang auras to form a sky barrier to block it. On the side of the Fire Qilin cave, they turned into Fire Qilins to fight against it. The battle between the divine beasts and the ferocious beasts was extremely terrifying. Of course, more people wanted to escape from this place and continue forward. They didn't want to fight against the ferocious beasts. For a moment the scene was very complicated. Let's go. The people of the Gu family were the first to teleport through space and leave this place. The people of the Fire Qilin race were also fighting as they left. They didn't want to fight for a long time here. However, Lin Xian turned around and charged over. This caused those people from the monarch clans to be stunned. What was this Lin Wudi doing? Why couldn't they understand what the other party was doing? In front, the people of the Kunpeng race were still fighting with Qiongqi. Qiongqi waved his claws and struck the yin and yang aura of the Kunpeng race and the others like a divine mountain. The elders spat out mouthfuls of blood. Kunpeng Zi's blood was also boiling. When he said let's go, they finally gave up resisting. They couldn't help it. This thing was really too terrifying. It was an ancient ferocious beast and it was in the Dragon Emperor realm. Only the heavens knew how terrifying the other party was. Lin Xian charged over. He held the heavens of the battle map in his hand and directly attacked. The heavens of the battle map emitted endless power and collided with Qiongqi's claws. Qiongqi was instantly forced back. However, it wasn't injured. Lin Xian's eyes lit up and he quickly attacked. Murong Qingqing and Yen Ryu also attacked. The three of them attacked together. Bai Susu was leading the people of our alliance to attack from afar. The dark red divine dragon used array formations. One array formation after another covered the sky. The battle was very terrifying. After seeing this, the others sneered and shook their heads. This Lin Wudi was too stupid. Couldn't he just dodge the attack and continue moving? Why did he have to compete with a Qiongqi? They didn't understand. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was getting fiercer and fiercer. The heavens of the battle map, the yin-yang sword qi, the power of the divine body, and the terrifying swordsmanship. Qiongqi kept retreating. In addition, Yen Ruyu and the others attacked together. Finally, they found an opportunity to suppress it. The heavens of the battle map stopped the other party. Lin Xian's Rinnegan shone brightly. He stared at Qiongqi's glabella. In the next moment, he stretched out 3 fingers and grabbed toward Qiongqi's glabella. Qiongqi roared at the sky. However, not only was it suppressed by the heavens of the battle map, but it was also suppressed by Yen Ruyu and Murong Qingqing. Lin Xian finally grabbed the other party's glabella and waved it forcefully. He directly pulled out a piece of something. It was a crystal that emitted a black light. The aura on it was really terrifying. As soon as he appeared, Qiongqi stopped struggling. It froze there. The murderous aura on its body also stopped. What was going on? The surrounding people were all stunned. They were dumbfounded. Even Long Mu's pupils constricted. This thing was a puppet. He was really surprised. He had fought with this Qiongqi several times, but he was stopped by it every time. He didn't go in. He always thought that it was a real monster. It was raised here by the Dragon Emperor. But he didn't expect that it was just a puppet created by the Dragon Emperor. Moreover, he didn't expect Lin Xian and the others to be so powerful that they could suppress the Qiongqi puppet. More importantly, Lin Xian actually took out the energy core of the puppet. Damn it, stay here. He roared angrily and rushed over in an instant. This was a good thing. He definitely couldn't let Lin Wudi take it away. Moreover, this Qiongqi puppet was also very terrifying. Once the energy core disappeared, the Qiongqi puppet couldn't be used anymore. Chapter 54-51. Looking at Long Mu rushing over, Murong Qingqing and the others looked as though they were facing a great enemy. This was an existence that had surpassed the holy scriptures. Lin Xian snorted out coldly and took out his heaven-devouring jar without hesitation. A terrifying aura spread out as the strike blocked Long Mu. Long Mu was forced back as well. His face was terrible. Lad, just you wait. I don't believe that you can control an extreme-grade weapon forever. When you run out of energy, it will be your death. Long Mu did not strike out. Even though the extreme-grade weapon was strong, it was still the weapon of the Emperor. The other saints could not control it unless they used heaven-defying resources. Furthermore, they had already fought outside the tomb of the Emperor and used their extreme-grade weapons. In fact, they had even fully recovered. They did not have much energy left after this. They would not use their extreme-grade weapons easily. Once they ran out of energy, they would not be able to use their extreme-grade weapons. That would be the true disaster. Therefore, after entering, the other Emperor race beings did not use their extreme-grade weapons easily against the Qiongqi. This thing was a trump card that could only be used at the most critical moment. Faced with such a threat, Lin Xian scoffed out coldly. He did not care at all. He stared at the black crystal in his hands. The others cast their gazes over as well. The eyes of many Emperor race beings turned red. This thing definitely contained an unparalleled amount of energy. When the Dragon Sea Master caught sight of it, his eyes dilated as he exclaimed out. This was an Emperor Path God crystal. The other powerful beings of the Emperor race exclaimed out as well. To think that it would be something like this. Evidently, the ancient race had recorded this mysterious thing. It contained an unparalleled amount of energy and was extremely precious. The elder of the Phoenix race exclaimed out. This thing was incredible. It was extremely rare to come across one. The elder of the Gu race gasped out as well. This was the means of the Emperor race beings indeed. To think that they would casually create puppets for such a precious thing. The Emperor race beings were indeed beings that they could only look up to. When the others heard this, they were even more envious. Lin Xian's luck was way too good, wasn't it? Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. Oh, this was even more precious than he had imagined. Very well, I'll take it then. After taking the Emperor Path God crystal, Lin Xian looked at the Qiongqi once more. Its defense was extremely tough. Even with so many sacred ancestors attacking it, they were still unable to breach its defenses. Obviously, it was also made of special metals and materials. Therefore, it was also a treasure. He let the dark red divine dragon put it away. He might be able to use such a powerful puppet in the future. When the others saw this, their eyes turned red, but no one dared to make a move for the time being. The Emperor clan people said that it wasn't good to clash with him right now. Even though this thing was precious, it wasn't to the point where they had to risk their lives. Only when they entered the real ancient tomb would they be able to find something good. The others nodded in agreement. Then everyone set off again. Lin Xian and the others also set off, continuing to walk inside. After passing through the mountain range, they suddenly discovered a mountain peak. That mountain peak was incomparably majestic, as if it was formed by countless coiling dragons. Even Lin Xian was amazed by the mountain peak. Dragon Mountain. At the real location of the ancient tomb, everyone took a deep breath. They could feel the might of the great emperor here. This was the place where the earth was buried. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and soared into the sky. He was going to lead his people up Dragon Mountain. The other great emperor clans and remote antiquity clans also followed after seeing this. One by one, figures rose into the air and flew forward at high speed. When they reached the 9 heavens, they saw Dragon Mountain. It was really too majestic. The mountains and rivers above were even more terrifying than the surroundings. It was like a real immortal world. This was great. These people were excited. If they stayed on Dragon Mountain, even if they didn't enter the ancient tomb to search for treasures, they would be able to improve by leaps and bounds just by cultivating here. They were wild with joy. However, at this moment, a loud and clear dragon roar sounded on Dragon Mountain. Then, the void around Dragon Mountain cracked open, and black figures appeared one after another. As soon as they appeared, a terrifying aura swept through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Immediately, those people were blasted away. Those who flew too fast spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew backwards. His men also stopped and looked ahead in bewilderment. What was that thing? The people of the Gu clan exclaimed. Was there another puppet? The people of the Purple Mansion also acted as if they were facing a great enemy. The one who came was the Purple Mansion Lord. Xiaoying had been killed earlier, and Yao Guang had been seriously injured and didn't come. So, on their side, it could be said that their strength had been severely damaged. They were now incomparably careful. Lin Xian and the others also frowned. They felt that the things in front of them were extremely terrifying. In front of them there were many tall and straight figures. They wore battle armor and held ancient weapons in their hands, standing in the sky. They were expressionless. However, the dragon aura on their bodies was incomparably terrifying. Behind them, the people of the 1,000 Dragon Court also exclaimed. What a powerful dragon aura! Longmu was indeed shocked. Could it be that this was the legendary dragon army? As the tomb keeper of the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb, although Longmu had never truly entered the ancient tomb, she still knew some things about the ancient tomb. She knew that there was a group of even stronger guardians on Dragon Mountain. They were called the Dragon Army. However, she had never seen them before. Now that she saw these figures, she exclaimed. After hearing this, the others also discussed spiritedly. The Dragon Army was obviously one of the methods of the Dragon Emperor. The people of the Qilin race frowned. The Dragon Army's aura wasn't as majestic as before, but there were too many of them. They far surpassed Xiongqi. There was only one Xiongqi, but there were 49 of them in front of them. They lined up neatly in the void, and the power on their bodies seemed to be able to pierce through the sky. In front of them there was a man standing on a divine dragon. He held a divine sword in his hand and shouted coldly. This was the resting place of the Dragon Emperor. Those who trespass would be killed without mercy. After saying this, he waved the sword in his hand, and a large crack appeared in the sky. Obviously, if one stepped over this line they would definitely die. The toad exclaimed. Can talk? Could it be that it's a living expert? Lin Xian used his Rinnegan and frowned. No, it should be a puppet, but it's of a higher level. After saying this, he snorted coldly. I want to see how you're going to kill without mercy. After saying this, he walked forward. Did Lin Wudi move? The other experts were still hesitating whether or not to move and how to move. However, Lin Xian had already moved. This guy was too arrogant. They were all watching. Lin Xian took a step forward and flew forward. The middle-aged man in front of him emitted a shocking light from his eyes and turned into a bolt of lightning that was hundreds of meters long. In an instant, it pierced through the 9 heavens. Those who trespass would be killed without mercy. The long sword in his hand was raised high and slashed down. Boom. The sword cut through heaven and earth and descended like a river of stars. Lin Xian sneered and punched out. The resplendent fist was like the sun, shining in all directions. Chapter 54-52. The two sides instantly engaged in an earth-shattering battle. Everyone was shocked. Murong Qingqing and Yen Ryu also let out cries of surprise and instantly charged over. The people from the Divine Union made their move. The eyes of the others flickered when they saw this. The elder of the Phoenix tribe sighed. Let's give it a try too. There was no chance for them to reap the benefits of the battle. They charged over. That was indeed the case. The Dragon Emperor had set up this way. If they could break through, they would continue. If they couldn't, they would either die or return. It was impossible for them to win without a fight. Therefore the people from the Phoenix tribe made their move. The people from the Gu family and Z mansion also made their move. Everyone else made their move. However, the moment they rushed up the Dragon Mountain they were stunned. Quite a number of people were instantly torn into pieces. Damn it! How could it be so terrifying? When they saw that Lin Xian could withstand it, they thought that they could do the same. However, they didn't expect the power to far exceed theirs. It wasn't something they could withstand. A Dragon Path elite soldier waved the long blade in his hand and swept it in all directions. More than 10 elites were sliced in half. Sacred blood was scattered all over the place. It was too strong. Even the people from the monarch tribe were terrified. He was indeed the Dragon Emperor. The people he had chosen to guard the Dragon Mountain were too strong. Damn it! Did they have to use the Emperor weapon? The people from the Kunpeng tribe gritted their teeth. The people from the Qilin tribe also frowned. They didn't act rashly. If they had to use the Emperor weapon just to enter the Dragon Mountain, there was no need for them to continue. After all, the Dragon Mountain was even more dangerous. How many times could they use the Emperor weapon? The power they had was limited. Kunpeng Z also roared. Don't use the Emperor weapon for the time being. Charge with all your might. Those who can't make it, retreat. Save your lives. Lin Xian also roared. Those from the Divine Union who couldn't resist, retreat. The people from the Divine Union were also affected. Many people's bodies were torn apart. They had no choice. Each of the 49 Dragon Path elite soldiers was extremely strong. Even the double champion might not be able to handle them, let alone the others. What was even more frightening was the fact that these 49 Dragon Way ambush weapons had formed a peerless formation when they were combined. It made their scalps go numb. This kind of array formation was really too strong. Although it wasn't as strong as the Great Emperor's array formation outside, it was still far stronger than an ordinary sage's array formation. Many people were instantly pierced by this peerless dragon head array, their bodies nailed to the void. A sea of blood spread between heaven and earth. Seeing this, the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty felt their scalps go numb. Even if they relied on their own strength, it would still be very difficult for them to pass through. Even if they managed to get through, the number of people would be greatly reduced. It would be difficult for even 1% of them to get through. Long Mu took a deep breath and pierced his heart with his dragon claw, letting the blood drip out. Then he drew the runes of the dragons devoutly and kowtowed 3 times and 9 times. When he spoke, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty disciples all obeyed. The other dragons would have to rely on their own abilities. The Dragon Sea Clan, Lightning Dragon Clan, Wind Dragon Clan, and the others all sighed. Although they were all dragons, only the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had been established by the Dragon Emperor. The other dragons didn't have the bloodline of the Dragon Emperor. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty did the same. They pierced their hearts and used their blood to cover their bodies to reduce the damage. They were the descendants of the Great Emperor. Although they weren't as strong as the Dragon Prince, they were still the descendants of the Dragon Emperor. Therefore they could more or less be of some use. These people also soared into the sky and rushed over. More and more people were retreating from the front. Although they were unwilling to give up, although they were reluctant, they would probably die if they tried to charge through again. After all, many people had already died. The sea of blood spread. These people could only grit their teeth and retreat. Most of the people from the Divine Union also retreated. Only the clan leaders of the various large sects and families, as well as the top elites, could continue forward. For example, Murong Qingqing by Susu and the others couldn't do it. In fact, it wasn't just the Divine Union. It was the same for the Monarch Clan, Clan of the Ancients and Dragons. Most of them were blocked. A small number of people tore through the line of defense and landed on the Dragon Mountain. After they landed, they could feel the astonishing nomological power surrounding them, enveloping them. There was a big tree in front of them. There were many dragon-shaped fruits on the tree. There, they swayed and bloomed with a terrifying power. After the dark red divine dragon saw it, he exclaimed. This was the legendary dragon spirit fruit. His body shook and he rushed over in an instant. Little White seemed to have been summoned and rushed over from the sword world. She squeaked and stepped on a cotton cloud, turning into a bolt of lightning. Her speed was even faster than the dark red divine dragon. In an instant she was in front of them. With a wave of her little claws, she grabbed 2 dragon scale fruits. The dragon scale fruit transformed into a huge dragon. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, trying to counterattack Little White. In the end, it was knocked unconscious by Little White's claws. Good stuff, snatch it quickly. When the others came up, their eyes turned red. The things on the Dragon Mountain were definitely shocking treasures. The Gu clan's elder appeared and disappeared mysteriously, using his space mystique. In an instant he snatched 3 fruits. The Phoenix clan, Purple Mansion clan, and other clans also made their moves. A great battle broke out instantly. On the Divine Union's side, Bai Susu and the others also made their moves. Brother Xian. Murong Qingqing looked at Lin Xian, wondering why he didn't make a move. Yan Ryu was also surprised. She couldn't help but want to make a move. Lin Xian's lips curled up. How could he not make a move? He took out the heaven-swallowing jar and charged forward. A black vortex appeared, swallowing the heavens and the earth. The surrounding people were enveloped by the vortex and instantly screamed. Damn it, the extreme Dao aura. Retreat, they frantically retreated. The Purple Mansion Master's expression changed as he opened the sky with both palms. The great desolate heaven-splitting hand tore open a large crack to resist. The Gu clan's people were the fastest. Their space mystique appeared and disappeared mysteriously, so they didn't dare to resist. Everyone retreated at this moment. They looked at Lin Xian in shock. Was this guy crazy? In order to snatch a dragon-scale fruit he actually used an extreme Dao weapon. Did this kid have a lot of power in his hands? If he used it like this, what would happen next? However, in the next instant they were dumbfounded. The dragon's people were also stunned. They realized that the heaven-swallowing jar had directly swallowed the entire dragon spirit tree. In the next instant the ground in front of them cracked open. The tree with the dragon spirit fruit had already disappeared. There was only this crack left. Heavens, what did I just see? He took the entire tree away. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. One had to know that they had only managed to snatch a few fruits after risking their lives. Now that someone had made a move, the entire tree was gone. At the back, the Thousand Dragons Dynasty's people were roaring in anger. Damn Lin Wudi, don't be too arrogant. The Gu clan and the Purple Mansion clan's people were also furious. They handed over the dragon spirit tree. They walked over one after another, filled with killing intent. Chapter 54-53. Lin Xian's actions made even Murong Qingqing and the others dizzy. It was indeed too domineering. Little White clapped her little paws and laughed. I like it. The toad also jumped up. Well done. Give me more later. The other experts were indeed enraged and they were all furious. Lin Wudi, hand over the dragon spirit tree. You want to take it for yourself? Too arrogant. Do you really think we don't exist? Lin Xian didn't care at all. He looked at these people and took a step forward as if he wanted to die. If you don't want to die, scram. If you provoke me, I'll use an extreme weapon to suppress you. He shook the heaven-swallowing jar in his hand and waved. Let's go. Just like that, the group swaggered away. The surrounding people were so angry that they vomited blood, but no one dared to make a move. Zifu gritted his teeth. Let's go. Let's enter the Dragon Mountain first. The people of the Qilin race also said that they should forget it. They would definitely teach him a lesson next time. Behind them, Long Mu and the others vomited blood. This was a tree planted by the Dragon Emperor. Just like that, it was taken away by someone? Damn it. They gritted their teeth and swore that when they found the Supreme Array, they would use the Array's power to kill it. Lin Xian and the others took the lead again. Lin Xian quickly planted the dragon scale fruit in the sword world. He was overjoyed. This tree had indeed grown for tens of thousands of years. The power on it was too strong. Although it wasn't an undying god tree, it far surpassed an ordinary king medicine. It was right to come to the Dragon Emperor's tomb. Lin Xian's lips curled up. He was different from the others. The others only wanted the best treasures, so they cherished using extreme weapons. But Lin Xian was different. What Lin Xian wanted was power. He wouldn't let go of anyone he passed by. Therefore, once he took a fancy to something, he would take it with lightning speed. He would definitely not leave it to those people. The legendary Dragon Emperor's tomb was in the Dragon Mountain. Where was it? These people began to search. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty also began to search. At this moment, the blood on their hearts dripped down again. It quickly flew above the ground. Then in front of him, the Dragon Mountain shook and an entrance appeared. It was an ancient cave. When he appeared, it was as if the world had been created. 10,000 dragons roared, and the entire Dragon Mountain shook violently. The surrounding great Dao interweaved and swept in all directions. At this moment, everyone's blood was boiling. Quickly block it. At that moment, the people from the imperial clans had no choice but to unleash enormous power to resist. Those who did not have extreme weapons were forced to kneel on the ground by this force. Facing the front, prostrating and prostrating. It couldn't be helped. This was the might of a great emperor. It wasn't shameful for them to kneel to a great emperor. On Lin Xian's side, he naturally had an extreme Dao weapon to block this power. They were also shocked. This was the entrance to the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. After entering, they would enter the true tomb of the great sovereign. How could they not be excited? The great emperor stood at the pinnacle of the myriad worlds, sweeping through all directions and crushing the universe. What kind of treasures would they find in the other party's tomb? Great, the tomb of the dragon emperor has been opened. Long Mu and the others were so excited that they were about to cry. On the other hand, the people of the Gu family were delighted. The two elders sneered. Good opportunity, charge. Here what mattered was speed. The treasures that they saw first, they had to snatch them first. The two of them used their void divine abilities and rushed forward. Their speed was very fast and they arrived in front in an instant. However, in the next moment, an extremely terrifying message erupted from the cave of the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. It directly sent the two of them flying. The two elders' bodies were shattered, and they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. They were seriously injured. Damn it, how could this be? These two elders had gone crazy. Their spatial divine abilities could teleport and shuttle at will. Now they were actually blocked. When the Qilin Sun saw this scene, he sneered. How stupid. You guys are also from the great emperor's family. Don't you know the methods of the great emperor? Just like that, it was too ridiculous to want to enter. Damn it. The Gu family's elders were furious. You dare to look down on us? If you have the ability, go and open it. The Qilin Sun snorted coldly. Alright, just watch. As he said that, he walked out and took a deep breath. A trace of piercing cold light burst out from his eyes. As a member of the great emperor's family and the son of the great emperor, he naturally knew that the ancient tomb of the great emperor was very mysterious. Even if they found the entrance, they might not be able to walk in. However, there was another benefit to being the first person to enter. One had to know that since the great emperor's ancient tomb was buried, no one would enter it for tens of thousands of years. There was too strong an aura inside. After that aura was inhaled, it would definitely enter the body of the first person. It could even cause that person's physique to undergo a tremendous change. Therefore, after seeing it, the Qilin Sun was eager to be the first to enter. He roared at the sky and transformed into his Qilin true form. Stepping on 10,000 flames, he rushed forward. As soon as he appeared, the surrounding people exclaimed. It was so terrifying. The Qilin Sun's strength had become stronger than before. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. As expected of the emperor's son, his strength increased every day. He was indeed much stronger than when he was at the dragon transformation station. However, he was still not his match. However, Lin Xian was puzzled. The Qilin Sun had always been cold and calculating. Why did he want to take the lead this time? Just as he was thinking, an earth-shattering sound came from the front. With a series of rumbles, the entire dragon mountain shook violently. The Qilin Sun was knocked back and many of the flames on his body were extinguished. He gritted his teeth and roared crazily. Damn it, he couldn't enter. Qilin technique, Qilin steps. She took 7 steps in a row and each step shattered the world. This was an extremely powerful force, a peerless divine ability of the great emperor's ultimate technique. This time, the entrance of the cave also shook violently. However, it did not shatter. Instead, it erupted with an even more terrifying aura. He forced the Qilin Sun to retreat. The Qilin Sun retreated and vomited blood. His face turned pale. Your Highness. The elders of the Fire Qilin clan also became nervous. Damn it, I don't believe it. Qilin arm. The Qilin Sun roared angrily. He transformed into his human form, and a Qilin tattoo appeared on his left hand. It was very ancient. It was an immemorial Qilin. He roared at the sky and his arm bloomed with endless light. It was as if it had transformed into the arm of an ancient god. He threw a punch. This punch emitted a mysterious and unfathomable aura. Wherever it passed, heaven and earth shattered. It was enough to sweep through everything. When it hit the cave erupted with a shocking light. The light screen above shook violently as if it would shatter at any moment. However, in the end it was still intact. Instead, the Qilin arm shook violently. The Qilin Sun took 3 steps back. His face was pale. How could this be? The cave was right in front of him, but it made him feel despair. Chapter 54:54. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They didn't expect the Qilin Sun to be so powerful that even he couldn't enter. The others were even more hopeless. The elder of the Gu family sneered. You were so arrogant before. I thought you could enter. You? The Qilin Sun was so angry that he vomited blood. He gritted his teeth. He didn't attack because the situation here was indeed beyond his expectations. He didn't expect that he couldn't enter. He could only retreat angrily. I'll do it. The Purple Mansion Lord personally attacked. Purple energy surged into the sky from her body, scattering all the clouds in the sky. Then she formed a huge purple palm print and 9 huge palm prints rushed into the sky. Each of them was incomparably terrifying as they imprinted themselves in the air. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Cracks spread out in all directions. They hit the cave abode. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. This woman was too annoying. Her strength was terrifying. Especially the peerless technique that she used. It was probably a lost technique from 50,000 years ago, but it was so powerful in her hands. However, no matter how powerful it was, it couldn't open it. The Purple Mansion Lord gritted his teeth and left. Next, the elders of the Phoenix clan and the Kunpeng clan also attacked. Some people even joined forces to attack, but they found that it was useless. They were all in despair. Heavens, could it be that they had no choice? They all looked at the 10,000 Dragon Court. However, the people of the 10,000 Dragon Court weren't confident either. They all looked at Long Mu. As the Tomb Keeper, Long Mu said, "I'm the Tomb Keeper. I can't be the first to enter. Otherwise, I'll be instantly turned into ashes." Damn. Everyone was in despair. Long Mu could be said to be the strongest one. He had 1 foot in the Saint Realm, so he was the most likely to open it. However, due to his identity, he couldn't attack. The people of the Purple Mansion gritted their teeth. It seemed that they could only use extreme weapons. The Fire Qilin also prepared to attack. They all wanted to be the first to enter. However, Long Mu snorted coldly. "I advise you not to do that. This is the place where the Dragon Emperor is buried. We also brought the 10,000 Dragon Diagram. If you dare to use extreme weapons, I can't guarantee what will happen to the 10,000 Dragon Diagram. Because this was where its master was." He was indeed right. Would the 10,000 Dragon Diagram attack the Dragon Emperor's tomb? Would it awaken? No one knew. Damn it. The Fire Qilin and the others also gnashed their teeth. They didn't dare to take this risk. Once the 10,000 Dragons Diagram was awakened, even if they had other extreme weapons, they would still be able to use them. It seemed that it could only be a supreme treasure. If another great emperor's corpse appeared, no one would be able to stop it. It was better for everyone not to use it. The people from the Kunpeng clan spoke. The other monarch clans also nodded. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and asked, "Why are these people fighting to be the first to enter?" One had to know that he had always been the one leading the way. The surrounding people had all followed behind him to reap the benefits. Now these people were acting abnormally. The elder of the Phoenix race transmitted his voice to Lin Fan. "Young Master Lin, you don't know? The first one to enter the tomb of the great emperor would obtain a special power. The power came from the ancient tomb, so these people wanted to be the first to enter." Lin Xian was stunned when he heard this. In the next moment, his eyes lit up. "So that's how it is. Is this the mysterious power of the ancient tomb? Very good, I want it." He came here this time to search for power. Now that there was such an opportunity, how could he miss it? So he said, "If you can't do it, I'll do it." Was Lin Wudi going to do it? Many clan of the ancients took a deep breath. Some of them were even excited. However, the Qilin's son Zifu and the others looked cold. They snorted coldly. They were really unhappy that Lin Fan was in the limelight. Moreover, if Lin Fan was the first to enter, he would definitely obtain that power. So they gritted their teeth. But there was nothing they could do. They couldn't open their supreme weapons and couldn't use it easily. If they wanted to enter, they would have to rely on Lin Fan. The Purple Mansion Master frowned and said, "Let's see if this kid can open it. If he can, we'll go in. If he can't," it seemed that they would have to use their supreme weapons. The other monarch clans sighed. Indeed, using their supreme weapons here might anger the Dragon Emperor's corpse. But if they really had no choice, they could only fight with their backs against the wall. Everyone's gaze turned to Lin Xian as they became nervous. They didn't know if Lin Xian could succeed. Lin Xian was the first in the dragon transformation battle. He was extremely terrifying. His strength had increased in the past 5 years. He had killed Xiaoying. He had severely injured Yao Guang. Yao Guang was still seriously injured and couldn't come here, so everyone was still looking forward to him. Behind them, the people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty gritted their teeth. Long Mu also snorted coldly. "Kid, you're not qualified. Go back." Anyone could open it, but he didn't want Lin Xian to be the first to enter. Lin Xian sneered. "I'm not qualified? If I'm not qualified, then you're not qualified to stand here. Today I'm going to open the Dragon Emperor's tomb. No one can stop me." His voice was extremely firm, and each of his words was like thunder, echoing in all directions. At the same time, he took a step forward, and the flames on his body turned into a sun. Then he charged forward. Boom. He slammed into it, and there was an intense explosion, but it didn't break. Lin Xian took a step forward, and the power of his divine body erupted. His fist was like a giant dragon as it slammed into it. An even more intense sound rang out, and people couldn't stand steadily on Dragon Mountain. Roar. At this moment, a low roar came from the cave. Then Dragon Chi soared into the sky, and the terrifying power of the Tao of Dragons erupted. The entire Dragon Mountain seemed to have turned into a giant dragon, and it was roaring and shaking. It seemed to want to blast everyone away. The others were shocked. They soared into the air and began to defend. At the same time they were shocked. How could such a change happen to Dragon Mountain? Damn it, what did Lin Wuti do? One punch had caused such a shock. One had to know that so many people were fine when they attacked. But when Lin Xian attacked there was a crisis. All of them were likely to be sent flying. A voice appeared in front of them, and it turned into a great Tao that directly suppressed Lin Xian. It wanted to tear his body apart. Lin Xian's 9-yang divine body rumbled under the impact. He roared angrily, and then he formed a seal with his palms. The light of the demon god. With him as the center, endless light erupted, shining in all directions. It collided with these sounds. At the same time, a terrifying dragon roar also erupted from his body. The two sounds collided and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. It was enough to shatter everything. Lin Xian knew how terrifying the cave ahead was. He didn't hesitate at all. Dragon scales appeared on his body, and he transformed into a dragon. A dragon shadow appeared. Lin Xian bared his fangs and brandished his claws. He charged forward and his dragon claws danced in the sky. Chapter 54-55. The two collided. The battle was too intense, causing the scalps of the surrounding people to go numb. They couldn't help but want to retreat. I wonder if Lin Wuti can break it? Kunpingzi frowned. On one hand they were eager to enter and on the other hand they didn't want Lin Xian to become stronger. Therefore they were very conflicted. From the cave in front of them, another roar came. It seemed to have turned into a giant dragon and rushed over. The sound dragon directly pushed Lin Xian back. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You want to stop me? It was impossible. He roared towards the sky. At this moment, Lin Xian finally took out the great dragon sword soul. He transformed into his human form, and the great dragon sword soul appeared between heaven and earth. Feeling this invincible power, the surrounding people trembled. The offensive saint techniques of heaven and earth were not weaker than the existence of extreme weapons. Lin Xian held the great dragon sword soul with both hands and roared towards the sky, destroying everything. At the same time he used his strength to the extreme. The sword world opened and endless power surged out. Then he slashed forward with his sword. The sound dragon was immediately split into two halves by the sword. Not only that, the entire cave was also enveloped by this sword, emitting a violent rumbling sound. Endless sword chi exploded in front of them, and the surrounding people all closed their eyes. They all retreated. The sound of the dragon throat sword rang out continuously. What happened? After a long time they slowly opened their eyes. In the next moment they found that the barrier between the caves had been broken. Lin Xian stood there like a demon god. His figure was incomparably tall and straight. The great dragon sword soul slowly disappeared and entered his body. Good opportunity. An elder of the Gu family was overjoyed when he saw this scene. He formed a seal with his hands and used space. His divine ability instantly disappeared. He was teleported into the cave. Whoever entered first would be able to obtain a great fortune. He did not want to miss it. Damn it, what are you doing? On the other side, the dark red divine dragon and the others roared crazily. Lin Xian also frowned. He wanted to make a move. However, at this moment, the light of the law came from the front, directly piercing through the elder of the Gu family. The soul of the Gu family's elder was destroyed, and his body turned into law fragments, falling to the ground. Both his body and soul were destroyed. When the others saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Some of the people who wanted to scheme against him also stopped. Their faces turned ugly. What was the matter with the great ancestor? The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty also frowned. Long Mu harumphed coldly. This is the mausoleum of the great sovereign. How can we imagine his methods? When Lin Wuti opened the enchantment, he was the only one who could enter. If he didn't go in, no one would be able to. The Gu family wanted to take advantage of the situation. They were really stupid. Hearing this, the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty sighed. At the same time, they understood why Lord Long Mu hadn't acted. So there was such a rule. The others also acted as if they were facing a great enemy. No one dared to move. All eyes were on Lin Xian. However, what made them frown was that Lin Xian didn't move at all. When Lin Xian heard this news, the corners of his mouth curled up. Originally, he also wanted to be the first to rush in, afraid that others would snatch his fortune. But now he wasn't in a hurry. As long as he didn't go in, no one else would dare to. He took out the heaven-swallowing jar and floated around. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and began to swallow pills to recover his strength. Because of the powerful attack of the great dragon sword, it had consumed a lot of energy. Therefore he had to replenish his strength to recover to his peak. Just like that, everyone waited for a day. A day later, Lin Xian stood up and walked forward. Everyone was looking forward to it. What kind of fortune would Lin Xian obtain? Many people's eyes were red. This kid was too lucky. In the extreme path world, he obtained the fortune left behind by the great sovereign. Until now they still didn't know what it was. Now, was he going to obtain the power left behind by the Dragon Emperor? Lin Xian was also facing a great enemy. Although he said so, he still felt a little guilty. He must have killed the Dragon Prince and slapped the Dragon Emperor's face 90,000 years ago. He didn't know if the Dragon Emperor had any traps or tricks. Therefore he was always on guard. Dragon-shaped sword chi surrounded his body, forming an indestructible power. As long as the situation was not right, he would attack regardless of everything. Lin Xian walked towards the cave abode in front. When he stepped into the cave abode, Lin Xian felt a primitive power enveloping him. This power carried an extremely strong great sovereign aura and was abnormally real. It made Lin Xian feel that his body was about to be crushed. What a terrifying pressure. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead. This was the ancient tomb of a great sovereign. It was too powerful. At the same time, he felt a surge of dragon chi surging over like a sea and instantly enveloping him. *CK. Lin Xian shouted angrily. The situation of being the first to enter was not so easy to bear. This power was like clouds and sea. Once he couldn't bear it, his body would be torn to pieces. He was prepared to use the heaven-devouring jar to devour and slowly absorb it. However, at this moment, the great dragon sword soul in his body roared and rushed over. It absorbed all of the aura of the dragons around it, which was as vast as the sea. Lin Xian was stunned after seeing this. Why did the great dragon sword soul come out by itself? What shocked him even more was that the great dragon sword soul was actually absorbing this power. He narrowed his eyes, but he didn't stop it. The stronger the great dragon sword soul was, the more benefits it would have for him. After the great dragon sword soul absorbed the power of the Tao of Dragons, its body swayed and once again entered Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian carefully checked and found that the great dragon sword soul had become mysterious and unfathomable. There was a strong aura on it. Although he didn't absorb it, Lin Xian was incomparably happy. It seemed like being the first to enter had been the right choice. Lin Xian had a feeling that the great dragon sword soul might have a new breakthrough in the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. Ching, ruffian Long, you can come in now. Lin Xian stood in the cave and waved his hand. The dark red divine dragon and the rest were delighted when they heard this. Let's go. Murong Ching and the rest waved their hands and quickly walked forward. After the people from the Divine Union entered, the other people from the monarch race and the remote antiquity family followed suit. Let's go in too. After entering, these people were astonished. What a terrifying power. This is the might of an emperor. I feel like my body is going to break apart. These people were extremely frightened. Indeed, some of the weaker ones instantly had cracks appear on their bodies. Damn it. Some people gritted their teeth. They couldn't bear the power here and could only retreat. These people were unwilling to accept this and were about to cry. Although the others could still move forward, they still felt like they were facing a great enemy. The aura inside was extremely terrifying. Many monarch race people released a trace of extreme aura to defend themselves. Chapter 54-56. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty had also entered. This was the tomb of their ancestor, the Dragon Emperor. It was indeed powerful. This pressure made them feel as if they were facing a great enemy, but they were also happy. If they could cultivate here for a year, their physique would undergo earth-shattering changes. Of course, they didn't stop now. They continued to move forward. They also wanted to see what treasures the ancestor had left behind. They walked carefully along the way as if they were facing a great enemy. Finally, after passing through the passage, they found the first hall. There were flickering flames in front of them. They didn't know what the lamp oil was made of, but it seemed to be even more ancient. This kind of flame hung around the hall, just like the longevity lamp. It was abnormally mysterious. However, although there was light, it wasn't very bright. There were some dark corners in the hall that couldn't be illuminated at all. Everyone felt a mysterious and strange aura. Standing in the hall, they looked around curiously. The hall was abnormally majestic, far surpassing any building they had seen before. Many people began to use their soul power to check if there were any treasures here. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past, blowing on everyone's souls. Many people's souls were scratched by sharp claws, and they cried out in pain. They quickly retracted their souls. What a terrifying wind. It was too scary. In the ancient tomb of the earth, a gust of wind could hurt their souls. Lin Xian also frowned. He didn't release his soul. He had the Rinnegan. So, at this moment he was using his eye technique to check. However, that gust of wind just now had shaken his soul. What a terrifying power. Suddenly, his pupils shrank because he seemed to have found a figure in the shadows in front of him. His entire body was hidden in the darkness, and even the mysterious lamp couldn't find him. Qingqing, you guys be careful. There's someone ahead, but I don't know who it is. Lin Xian told them what he saw. Murong, Qingqing and the others exclaimed after hearing it. They looked at the dark corner in front of them. With their current souls they couldn't detect it at all. However, they believed that Lin Xian's Rinnegan was very terrifying. The others didn't see it either. After being cautious at the beginning, they started to move. They walked around. Among them, the 3 sacred ancestors of the Golden Crow tribe joined hands and began to move forward. Terrifying golden crow fire burned on their bodies as if they had turned into suns. They prepared to illuminate the surroundings. Lin Xian sneered when he saw this. He did not move forward. Instead, he led the members of the Divine Union back a little, as he realized that the 3 Golden Crow divine ancestors were walking towards the Black Shadow. The Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb was such a terrifying place, yet there was a black shadow. Just how terrifying was this black shadow? Lin Xian didn't dare to know either. He knew that the 3 Golden Crow sacred lords were in trouble. The 3 Golden Crow sacred masters sneered when they saw a black shadow in front of them. He walked over with flames in his hand. In the next moment, the flame entered the darkness and suddenly disappeared from the corner. The 3 Saint Sovereigns frowned. What was going on? Just as they were about to investigate, suddenly, another gust of wind blew past, and the darkness seemed to sway. They could faintly see a figure sitting cross-legged there. In the next moment, the figure opened his eyes. With a loud boom, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The 3 divine ancestors were sent flying, their bodies shattered. The rest of the people were also shaken to the point that their blood was churning. They looked ahead in bewilderment. Then they saw a shocking scene. In the next moment, everyone stopped, their hair standing on end. The members of the Divine Union also took a deep breath. This was too terrifying. Fortunately, Lin Xian had warned them beforehand. Otherwise, they would have been seriously injured. The 3 Golden Crow tribe's divine ancestors had been seriously injured by this gaze. The 3 elders were terrified. The other members of the Golden Crow tribe were even more terrified. What had happened? The people of the Kuan-Ping tribe asked, "What did you do?" The people of the Qilin tribe also sneered. "What did you do?" The 3 Golden Crow tribe's divine ancestors were about to cry. What had they done? They had seen a dark area in front of them, so they had shot out a ray of light. That was all. Who would have thought that there would be a figure there? They said in horror. There was someone in front. There was someone? What was going on? The people of the Gu family also walked out. The people of the Purple Mansion also turned their heads to look. The elder of the Golden Crow tribe said, "There is a dark area in front of us. There is a person sitting cross-legged there. We wanted to illuminate that area. In the end, we had just shot out a ball of flame when the black figure opened his eyes. His gaze had seriously injured the 3 of us." What? Hearing this, the surrounding people went crazy. There was actually someone in the main hall? This was too unbelievable. They had not sensed anything at all. Who could the person in the ancient tomb be? Could it be the Dragon Emperor? However, the people of the Gu family shook their heads. It was impossible. If it was the Dragon Emperor, how could the 3 of them still be alive? They reckoned that all of them would have died. It should not be the Dragon Emperor. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It should be the same as the Qiongqi and the Dragon Path elite soldier. It should be a puppet or a guardian. However, this was too terrifying. One had to know that these 3 Golden Crow sacred masters were all older generation figures. Among the divine ancestors, they had cultivated for thousands of years. Their strength was extremely terrifying. However, they had been seriously injured by a single gaze. What kind of gaze was that? Their scalps went numb. They all looked forward and found that there was indeed a dark area in front of them. Occasionally, the wind would blow past and the darkness would sway. Only then could they see the figure. Why don't we ignore him? Anyway, the main hall is so big. We can go to other places to search. A top genius of the Wind tribe suggested. The Purple Mansion sect leader frowned. No, didn't you notice? The place where he was standing was the passageway to continue. If you don't want to continue, you can ignore him. However, if you want to continue, you have to pass by him. The others looked carefully and found that the Purple Mansion sect leader was right. As he spoke, he turned his head and looked around as if he was searching for something. Suddenly he frowned when he saw Lin Xian and the others. He said coldly, "Lin Wudi, you already knew, didn't you? Otherwise, why did you hide so far away?" When he said that, the others were also shocked. Lin Wudi already knew? That's impossible, right? They all turned their heads to look. The 3 rat ancestors of the Golden Crow clan also roared. "Damn brat, how dare you not warn us?" Chapter 54-57. After the Golden Crow race's divine ancestor heard this, he was so angry that he vomited blood. However, Lin Wudi's performance was too strong. In addition, they were injured and didn't dare to attack. At this moment, the Kunping race's Kunping son walked over. He said, "Young Master Lin, I don't know what clues you have. This ancient tomb is so terrifying. I think we should work together." The Qilin family also looked over because they had no other choice. Lin Xian looked at them and then shook his head. "Previously, I only saw a figure there and felt that it was strange, so I didn't dare to act rashly. As for what that figure was, I don't know. I think they should know." As he spoke, Lin Xian looked at the people of the Thousand Dragon Court. The others all looked over as well. "Fellow Taoists of the Thousand Dragon Court, tell us your clues. You came in, which means that you want the treasures inside. But with your strength, you shouldn't be able to take it all." The monarch races spoke one after another. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court also had ugly expressions. Long Mu snorted coldly. He said, "The people in the Dragon Emperor's tomb are all members of the dragons. They should be ancient seniors. But which one is this? I don't know yet. Unless I can test his other powers." The people of the Thunder Dragon race also walked out. This was the Thunder Dragon race's patriarch. "Just now, when the Golden Crow race was injured, I felt a trace of thunder aura. It should be related to us Thunder Dragons. Maybe it's an ancient ancestor of us dragons." Everyone discussed, and this was the only result they got. They had no choice but to try again. These people condensed a few incarnations of their laws and flew forward. They were going to test if it was an expert of the Thunder Dragon race. The law incarnations arrived in front of the black figure and a bright light erupted from their bodies. Then they walked into the darkness. In an instant, the figure waved his hand and a terrifying power of thunder flew out. Instantly, heaven and earth collapsed. The 5 law incarnations instantly shattered. The others also exclaimed. It was indeed thunder. Moreover, it should be from the Thunder Dragon race. Great, they finally found another clue. Next, they prepared to find a way to solve it. However, at that moment, the black silhouette that was sitting cross-legged moved. Its body soared into the sky and floated out. He floated in the air. Then, endless thunder exploded from his body and spread out in all directions. The entire hall was shrouded in a sea of lightning. Not good, quickly defend. The people around him. They quickly defended themselves, but there were still many people who were sent flying while coughing up blood. Cracks appeared on their bodies. The power of this thunder was too terrifying. How could it be so terrifying? Phoenix Clan's people exclaimed. "This is a domain, this is a lightning domain. Everyone must be careful." They summoned their phoenixes to defend themselves. The body of the tribe leader of the Lightning Dragon tribe started to tremble. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Even the people from the 10,000 Dragon dynasty were stunned. Could it be that the other party recognized him? Long Mu also frowned and asked, "Dragons of lightning? Could it be?" The clan leader of the Lightning Dragons nodded frantically. "That's right, Lord Long Mu, it's as you guessed. This is the Nirvana Thunder Dragon, a supreme expert of our Lightning Dragon clan. Nirvana Thunder Dragon." Hearing this, many people from the Emperor clan sucked in a breath of cold air. They all reacted. This was a very terrifying expert among the dragons. Moreover, it was a lightning expert. He cultivated the Nirvana Thunder, which had the power to destroy everything. Such an expert was hard to come by in tens of thousands of years. They didn't expect that there would be a Nirvana Thunder Dragon in the Dragon Emperor tomb. Moreover, the other party was guarding the first hall. They had just entered. How terrifying was this dragon coffin ancient tomb? As expected, Lord Long Mu's expression was also grave. The Nirvana Thunder Dragon was a very terrifying existence among the dragons. If the other party was guarding here, it wouldn't be easy to pass. I didn't expect that there would be someone who recognized me. Moreover, you're from the Lightning Dragons, right? I even sensed the aura of many dragons as well as the aura of the Dragon Emperor clan. However, I didn't sense the aura of the Dragon Prince. Since the Dragon Prince isn't here, all of you will be punished. With that, he waved his sleeve, and the surrounding lightning became even more terrifying. The lightning that filled the sky swept in all directions. Many people's bodies were pierced through, and they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty wanted to say something, but it was too late. After so many tens of thousands of years, this Nirvana Thunder Dragon was definitely not a living expert. It should be some kind of puppet-like existence. This was the Dragon Emperor's method. They couldn't explain it at all. They could either block it or retreat. Everyone make your move, the Qilin child said loudly. Didn't we come here to find the treasure? Although it's a Nirvana Thunder Dragon, so what? The tomb of the Emperor is definitely incomparably difficult. I think everyone is mentally prepared for this. So now it's time for us to join forces. Zifu also said. That's right, I heard that the Nirvana Thunder Dragon has endless lightning. It's the Supreme Lightning Tao. Once cultivated to the extreme, a lightning lake will be opened in the body. This is a supreme power. If we defeat it, we might be able to obtain the power of the lightning lake. The other monarch races also agreed to the challenge. They were prepared to join forces. The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty also took a deep breath. They were going to attack. When Lin Xian heard this, his eyes narrowed. Lightning Lake? He looked at the dark red dragon and asked, "Did you know?" The dark red dragon nodded. "It's very useful for you." When Lin Xian heard this, the corners of his lips curled up. "Got it. Then let's go and get the lightning lake." "You want my lightning lake?" How naive. Since that's the case, you guys can have a taste of my lightning dragon annihilation. As he spoke, he formed seals with his palms. In the lightning region, endless lightning turned into a lightning dragon roaring into the sky. They shot out terrifying lightning bolts. Many people were sent flying, and some of them even had their astral souls destroyed. This was too scary. Join forces? The people from the monarch races roared. The Gu family created spatial cracks, sending all the lightning dragons into outer space. The power of the ancient race. The yin-yang energy of the Kunping race, the flames of the Qilin race, and the mystique of the Phoenix race. The Divine Union also attacked, and a huge battle broke out instantly. However, the Nirvana Thunder Dragon was too strong. Just the lightning lake alone was enough to make everyone feel like they were facing a great enemy. Right now, no one could challenge the real body of the Nirvana Thunder Dragon. "I'll do it," Qilin's son roared. He used the Qilin arm, tearing apart the lightning lake and attacking the Nirvana Thunder Dragon. However, the Nirvana Thunder Dragon blocked the Qilin arm with a single hand. Then it pushed the Qilin arm back. Qilin's son's blood boiled. He roared and used the Qilin art, a supreme mystic skill, to fight back. On the other side, the Purple Mansion Master also rushed over. Her beautiful face was unusually cold. She took out a bottle of purple longsword. Extreme Purple Sword Technique. Chapter 54-58. Elder Yi Kai of the Yi family also made a move. As if he had transformed into a god of war, his powerful combat strength swept through all the thunder. He charged over and fought in close combat with the Thunder Dragon of Nirvana. The Thunder Dragon of Nirvana sent out a palm. The sound of the sky shaking made the world shake. Everyone's expression changed. It was too terrifying. Even the 5 Emperor clan experts working together couldn't do anything to the other party? Lin Xian flipped his hand and directly took out the heaven-swallowing jar. He created a black vortex and began to devour the Thunder Prison. Lin Xian wouldn't let go of any power. This Thunder Dominion had an incomparably violent power. Lin Xian naturally wouldn't let it go. When they saw the appearance of an extreme weapon, everyone's scalp went numb. Was this Lin Wudy crazy? From the beginning to the end, he had always taken out an extreme weapon. However, what surprised them was that Lin Xian didn't use an extreme weapon to attack the Thunder Dragon of Nirvana. Instead, he directly absorbed the power of the Thunder Prison. The thunder sea that filled the sky was swallowed by the black vortex. The pressure on everyone also decreased or even disappeared. They all heaved a sigh of relief. This guy was devouring power everywhere. Did he lack power? Who could be so poor? The other party wasn't a thunder element expert. What was the use of such destructive power? Even a Thunder Path Saint Lord wouldn't dare to easily absorb the thunder of Nirvana. They couldn't understand. And the Thunder Dragon of Nirvana in front seemed to have been challenged. She felt the power of an extreme weapon. She immediately snorted coldly. In the next moment she opened her eyes. A bolt of Nirvana thunder tore through the 9 heavens. Everyone was sent flying. The Gu family's elder used his Void Divine ability to dodge this attack. His face was pale. Qilin's son spat out blood and flew back. Cracks appeared on his body. Mansion Master Z also flew out. Blood dripped from his arm. Elder Yi Kai and the others of the Yi family were all injured. At this moment, everyone was injured by this gaze. Damn it, what kind of eye was this? It was too terrifying. There was blood at the corner of Baisusu's mouth. Yen Ryu and the others were also pale. The dark red divine dragon exclaimed. The legendary Nirvana Thunder Dragon's peerless ability, the Eye of Nirvana, could shatter heaven and earth with a single glance. He even had such a peerless divine ability? The surrounding people were stunned. The three divine ancestors of the Golden Crow tribe now knew why they had been injured. It wasn't that they were weak and couldn't withstand a single glance. This gaze was too terrifying. Legend has it that in the past, there was once a great battle between a Nirvana lightning dragon and someone. With a single glance, 5 worlds were directly shattered, vanishing into thin air. That level of strength was absolutely terrifying. Who would be able to block the Eye of Nirvana when the Nirvana Thunder Dragon used it? Damn it. Many people gritted their teeth and looked over. The Qilin child stared at Lin Xian. Damned Lin Wudi, who allowed you to use an extreme Dao weapon. Headmaster Z also shouted angrily. Put away your supreme weapon. You will completely enrage him. When Lin Xian heard this, he glanced at the crowd and sneered coldly. Anger? How laughable. He's a tomb keeper. Do you think he'll let you pass if you don't anger him? You can only pass if you defeat him. As for whether you anger him or not, what's the difference? As he spoke, Lin Xian ignored these people and looked ahead. You're the Nirvana Thunder Dragon? The guardian of the first hall? I'll give you a chance. Hand over the lightning lock on you and I won't attack you. The surrounding people went crazy after hearing this. The Headmaster Z's eyes were about to pop out. The Qilin child was also stunned. The people of the Gu family were even more dumbfounded. How terrifying was the Nirvana Thunder Dragon? Lin Xian actually dared to say such words and even looked benevolent? You wanted to let him go? The Thunder Dragon's patriarch directly roared. Damn Lin Wudi, how dare you be disrespectful to our ancestor? Do you want to die? He was filled with killing intent. The people of the Thousand Dragons Court also had gloomy expressions. You don't know what's good for you. How can you fight against the tomb keeper chosen by the Dragon Emperor? Lin Xian snorted coldly and stared at Long Mu. Aren't you also a tomb keeper? Didn't you fight against me and get injured by me? What can I fight against? Moreover, it's impossible for him to live for so many years. He's already dead and is a puppet. Since he blocked my path, he's my enemy. I've never shown mercy to my enemies. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. There were still some things he didn't say. So what if you're a tomb keeper? 90,000 years ago, he even dared to slap the Dragon Emperor's face, let alone now. He was really too arrogant. Everyone looked at Lin Xian with their mouths agape. They didn't know what to say. This was his territory. Weren't you afraid that he would use a supreme move to destroy you? The Nirvana Thunder Dragon also turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. He said coldly, Are you challenging me? You will accept my punishment. The punishment of destroying the world. A sharp light burst out from his eyes. Lin Xian snorted coldly. That's right, I'm challenging you. I heard that you have the Eye of Nirvana, right? Coincidentally, I also have the Rinnegan. I wonder whose eyes are more powerful between the two of us? Lin Xian's right eye shone with a piercing cold light. The aura of reincarnation erupted and swept in all directions. At this moment, heaven and earth formed the 6 paths of reincarnation world. It seemed to be able to reincarnate everything. Feeling this aura, the other people also felt their scalps tingle. They admitted that Lin Wudi was too strong and seemed to have the qualifications to challenge him. The light of reincarnation in his eyes charged forward. The Nirvana Thunder Dragon was also surprised. The power of reincarnation? It was really surprising. He also unleashed the light of Nirvana. Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted. The two collided, causing heaven and earth to shatter. That force made everyone's scalps tingle. The eyes of these two people were really too terrifying. They were both super powerful ocular techniques. One carried the mysterious aura of reincarnation, and the other had the aura of destroying everything. I wonder who's stronger? The Spirit Cage Patriarch gritted his teeth and said, Of course our ancestor is stronger. Once the Eye of Nirvana was unleashed, no one could resist it. The Thousand Dragons Imperial Court also thought so. They desperately hoped that the Nirvana Thunder Dragon could kill Lin Xian. However, after one strike, the two gazes disappeared at the same time. It seemed that they were evenly matched. Everyone was shocked. Lin Wudi's eyes were already so powerful? Could he contend against the Nirvana Thunder Dragon? You're only a so-so. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and said proudly. As soon as these words came out, Everyone was shocked. The Thunder Dragon's patriarch was completely furious. "Damn it, hurry up and apologize to our ancestor. Kneel down and kowtow." Lin Xian turned his head, and a piercing killing intent erupted from his eyes. "Do you want to die?" With a wave of his hand, it turned into a demonic seal and directly charged towards the Thunder Dragon's patriarch. The Thunder Dragon's patriarch was shocked, but in the next moment he was furious. He was the dignified patriarch of the Thunder Dragons, and the other party dared to attack him? "You're courting death." Chapter 54-59. The demonic god seal collided with the opponent's thunder blade, producing an earth-shattering sound. The Thunder Dragon clan's patriarch was forced to retreat. The thunder blade in his hand was shattered, and his hands were trembling. Damn it, the opponent's strength was so strong. As the patriarch of the clan, he couldn't do anything to the opponent? At this moment, his pupils shrank. "You're courting death." He punched out again. Because Lin Xian's sword slashed open. This sword was like a giant dragon dancing in the air, directly sending the Thunder Dragon clan's patriarch flying. A sword mark was left on his body. The other people's scalps went numb. He was too strong. Even the patriarch of the clan of the ancients couldn't do anything to him now? Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back. He sneered. "Ant, provoke me again and I'll destroy your soul." The Thunder Dragons were so angry that they vomited blood. "You actually have the aura of dragons." At this moment, the Thunder Dragon of Nirvana stared at Lin Xian again. "It's useless to say more. Let's do it." Lin Xian soared into the air, his body releasing an extremely terrifying light. The Rinnegan in his right eye released an even more terrifying light of reincarnation. The world of reincarnation appeared around him. The power made the scalps of the surrounding people tingle. They had all defended their souls. Would Lin Xian be able to win this battle? Heavenly path of reincarnation. In the sky, an eye stood there, like the eye of a god looking down on the common people. In that eye, there were countless mysterious runes that quickly intertwined, forming a giant hand of the heavens. It descended from the sky and pressed down, grabbing at the Thunder Dragon of Nirvana in an instant. The Thunder Dragon of Nirvana roared angrily. "The light of Nirvana." He shot out a light of Thunder God. The terrifying flames shattered the entire world. It collided with the giant hand of the heavens. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. Everyone retreated. In the next moment, the Thunder Dragon of Nirvana had the upper hand and launched an attack. Nirvana shattered. The eye of Nirvana opened again. It was as if the world had shattered and it attacked Lin Xian. The void around Lin Xian instantly shattered. Lin Xian used the path of reincarnation. Several earth shields appeared to defend against the attack. He defended his body. Then it formed the cycle of reincarnation, the Tao of Man. All of the power of reincarnation fused into his body as he unleashed the Six Paths fist and punched out. A mysterious ancient rune could be seen flickering on his fist. It seemed to be able to shatter the myriad worlds. The battle between the two was extremely terrifying. The surrounding people were shocked. These two eyes were too terrifying. Currently, Lin Xian only has one Rinnegan. If he condenses it again, I'm afraid that Thunder Dragon won't be his opponent at all. The people from the Divine Union were also nervous. Would Brother Shen succeed? Definitely. The dark red Divine Dragon was excited. He wanted to use the Reincarnation Sword's Phantom. He could definitely defeat the Nirvana Thunder Dragon. However, Murong Qingqing shook her head. "I don't think Brother Shen will. The Great Earth Tomb is so terrifying that there are many places that require Rinnegan to explore. And with Brother Shen's current strength, once he uses the Samsara Sword Phantom, he wouldn't be able to use his soul for a short period of time. This is very disadvantageous to our situation." Murong Qingqing's analysis was correct. Lin Xian didn't plan to use the Samsara Sword's Phantom in such a place. However, he also unleashed an extremely powerful attack. That was the fusion of heaven, earth, and man. The entire hall shook violently as a terrifying and ancient aura spread out. Everyone's eyes widened. What was Lin Wudi using? Was it the Samsara Sword? No, he didn't summon the Samsara Sword. He used another ability. Everyone realized that the power on Lin Xian's body was extremely terrifying. He seemed to have turned into the King of Reincarnation. The sky and the big hand also descended and merged with Lin Xian's palm. The shield formed by the reincarnation tunnel appeared on Lin Xian's left hand. He had fused with the power of reincarnation. Long Mu also exclaimed. This was too heaven-defying. The Nirvana Thunder Dragon seemed to have sensed a trace of danger. He roared angrily as endless lightning suddenly appeared between his brows. It quickly spread out and formed a space. This was even more terrifying than the Thunder region. It was the Thunder Lock. Countless people looked at this scene with their eyes wide open. Their eyes turned red. The Thunder Lock contained the supreme power of the Thunder Tao. It was also the power that they wanted to obtain. Now the Nirvana Thunder Dragon had finally used it. Take my strongest attack, the Nirvana Sword. The Thunder Lock in the sky flew into the Eye of Nirvana. The Eye of Nirvana was beating rapidly. Countless runes gathered on it and then turned into a sword. The Nirvana Sword. The sword slashed out with an aura that could destroy everything. It descended from the sky. At this moment, the void in the hall avoided it. This was the tomb of a great emperor. To be able to create such a scene, it was enough to show how terrifying this sword was. This was the Nirvana Sword? It was really too terrifying. They didn't expect that Lin Xian didn't use the Phantom of the Samsara Sword, but the Nirvana Thunder Dragon used the Nirvana Sword. They didn't know if this sword could kill this kid. The leader of the Thunder Dragons clenched his fists. Their ancestors' ultimate technique must succeed. The people of the Thousand Dragons Court were also looking forward to it. The people of the Purple Mansion were also incomparably nervous. Kill. Lin Xian, Heaven, Earth and Man. After the three merged, they also charged forward. Facing this situation, he used the tunnel shield in his hand to block. At the same time, the hand of the heavens and the power of the human Tao were all blasted out. A hand seemed to have crossed the universe and charged forward. Illusions appeared beside both of them. The Nirvana Sword appeared as if the world was about to be destroyed. The apocalypse had arrived. Lin Xian's palm was even more terrifying. It contained countless ancient scenes. The mysterious hall and the terrifying illusions finally clashed in the air. At this moment, everyone was sent flying. There were thousands of thunderbolts in front of them. Everyone's hearing was sealed. They couldn't hear anything and their eyes were filled with endless light. At this moment, everyone seemed to have been thrown into the 9 heavens. This feeling is really frightening. After an unknown period of time, they finally saw the scene in front of them and regained their hearing. They all raised their heads and looked forward. What had happened? Was the battle over? The people from the Divine Union were also very nervous. The Thousand Dragons Court also looked carefully. In the next moment, everyone was stunned. There was only one figure left in front of them. It was Lin Xian. The samsara force on Lin Xian's body also slowly disappeared and entered his eyes again. Lin Xian's face was pale, but the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. The others were puzzled. What was going on? There was only Lin Wuti. Could it be that the Nirvana Thunder Dragon had failed? When they thought of this possibility, they gasped. This was impossible. The leader of the Thunder Dragon tribe roared crazily. That was their ancestor. How could he have failed? Chapter 5460. Only Lin Xian was left standing in the sky, his face pale. In front of him, the void was split into 2. The horrifying Luai's lake was also split into 2 by the slash of the sword. The Thunder Dragon's figure had disappeared. Was he killed? Everyone's scalps went numb. The Purple Mansion Master's eyes flashed with purple light. Suddenly, he looked at the darkness in front of him and exclaimed. He went back. He pointed ahead and exclaimed. Everyone looked over as well. In the darkness there was a blurry figure. The Thunder Dragon sat back down. It seemed like he had lost the battle to Lin Wuti. How could this be? Everyone was deeply shocked. Even Long Mu's brows were tightly knitted together. Just as they were in a daze, Lin Xian waved his hand. He then put away half of the Thunder Lock. With a wave of his hand, he threw it into the sword world. This scene left everyone dumbfounded. The people from the Emperor race were furious. Damn it, how dare you? Leave it behind? Despicable brat, hand it over. The Thunder Lake of the Thunder Dragon was something they had dreamed of. Now that it had appeared in front of them, how could they not be excited? However, half of it was gone in an instant. Lin Xian merely sneered in response to this threat. His figure flashed and he instantly walked into the large hall. He said, "There is still half left. You can snatch it or come and kill me. Choose for yourself." As soon as he said this, everyone hesitated. Qilin roared and took the lead to attack the remaining half of the Thunder Lake. Kun Pingzi attacked as well. The other experts followed suit. The Old Phoenix attacked as well. Murong Qingqing and the rest followed Lin Xian. The battle broke out in an instant. Very few people wanted to attack Lin Wuti. After all, the other party was too strong. They might as well seize the remaining Thunder Lake first. If there was a chance in the future, they would attack the other party. This brat was too cool. The dark red Divine Dragon and the rest were excited. The people from the Divine Union followed Lin Xian and continued their journey. Lin Xian took out a portion of the Thunder Lake from the Sword World and gave it to them. Good stuff, I'll absorb it later. I'll put it away first. Dark red divine dragon. They were excited. The eyes of the people from the Divine Union also turned red. Thank you, Boss Lin. This was an extremely precious item. Since Lin Xian was willing to give it to them, how could they not be excited? Lin Xian said, "This is what you deserve." Lin Xian had always been generous to the people of the Divine Union. Furthermore, when they had attacked the Dragon Emperor's tomb and used the ultimate weapon, it had also been these people from the Divine Union who had provided the power. Lin Xian would naturally share a portion of his power with them. Murong Qingqing said with a smile. She reckoned that those people were going to overturn the sky. My master has also gone to snatch it. Perhaps he might be able to snatch a portion of it. The old phoenix and the others were powerful, so perhaps they would be able to reap some benefits. As for the others, that was not necessarily the case. As expected, the battle at the rear was extremely intense. The remaining half of the Luai's lake was also very large. In addition, there were quite a few emperor clans in the surroundings. They all fought until their eyes turned red. Some of them were even about to use their extreme weapons. In the end, the Luai's lake was divided among these people. The emperor clans obtained the most, while the other remote antiquity clans also obtained a little. However, these people were all injured. Those who were not injured had also consumed a lot of energy. Their faces were cold. Housemaster Z and the others gritted their teeth. Lin Wudi was really something. They could not let him continue to grow. They had to find a chance to get rid of him. The old phoenix sneered. He had also snatched some Luai's lake. Immediately, he led the Phoenix clan and flew forward. They were preparing to meet up with Lin Xian. Let's go too. The Fire Qilin Cave, the Gu clan and the others followed suit. They had just entered the first hall of the tomb. They did not know what was waiting for them at the back. In front of them, Lin Xian and the others slowed down once again. After all, this was the tomb of the great emperor. They did not dare to be careless. The dark red divine dragon set up a defensive array to protect them. Lin Xian had already started to use the power he had obtained as he walked. Previously, he had obtained a lot of power in the Dragon Emperor domain. He had also obtained the Emperor Dao Divine Spirit, the Dragon Scale Fruit and other spiritual fruits. Now that he had obtained the Luai's Lake, Lin Xian did not consume too much of the Dragon Scale Fruit. He was prepared to place it in the Four Spirit Valley to continue producing. As for the Dragon God Crystal, Lin Xian began to absorb it. He also began to absorb the Luai's Lake. The others did not dare to be careless with such a violent power. They had to find a secret room to absorb it carefully. However, Lin Xian did not need to do so. Firstly, he could provide power to the Sword World. The absorption of the Sword World did not need to be so troublesome. Moreover, this time he needed the power to give to the Divine Fire Seed. Absorbing the Divine Fire Seed was easier than cultivating in the secret room. Therefore, Lin Xian could absorb it as he walked. The Divine Fire Seed kept spinning and absorbing slowly. A mysterious flame bloomed on it. When Lin Xian saw this scene, the corners of his mouth curled up. He could feel that the Divine Fire Seed was growing. Coming to the Great Emperor's tomb was the right choice. He wondered what would happen after he got out. How much could the Divine Fire Seed grow? Brother Xian, the people behind them had arrived. After meeting up with the old Phoenix and the others, Murong Qingqing and the others could feel it. More and more people were arriving from behind. They were the people from before. Lin Xian nodded, no need to pay attention to them, they don't dare to attack us now. The dark red divine dragon and the toad looked behind them. Then they laughed because they saw that many of their acquaintances were injured. It was obvious that they were left behind from the previous battle. The two of them mocked at the front, causing the people behind them to be furious. They almost couldn't help but want to make a move. These two guys were too despicable. Damn it, I really want to kill them. A middle-aged man from the Gu family gritted his teeth. However, at this moment the leading elder Gu Shao said, "Don't attack. There seems to be another hall in front of us." Sure enough, a huge shadow appeared in front of them. It was as if a ferocious beast was waiting for them. In front of such a hall, they became incomparably small. It's so majestic. Why do I feel that it's even more terrifying than the first hall? I wonder if there are any guardians in this hall? Why don't you think about it? The treasures here might be even better than the Thunder Lake in the first hall. Many people were excited. Some people shook their heads and sighed. You have to be alive to take it. The guardians of the first stage are already so powerful. To be honest, if it wasn't for Lin Wudi, we wouldn't have had a chance to pass. For a moment, everyone was ecstatic, some shook their heads and some were nervous. All kinds of emotions filled the air. Lin Xian and the others also stopped. He temporarily stopped absorbing the divine fire seed. Instead, he looked at the hall in front of him. They felt a silent pressure that instantly pressed down on them. Chapter 54-61. Standing outside the majestic hall, Lin Xian and the rest looked solemn. Aside from this terrifying supreme aura that made one feel as if they were facing a great enemy, Lin Xian also noticed something else. He looked at the dark red dragon and asked, "How was it? Was it okay?" The dark red dragon frowned and looked around. Then it shook its head. It seemed like they had to attack together. They discussed here and didn't go in. The people behind frowned. The people of the Golden Crow race snorted. "Why, Lin Wudi, weren't you always arrogant? Why don't you dare to go in now? If you don't dare to go in, then scram. Don't block our way." The moment he said that, the Destiny Gemini tribe, Lightning Dragon tribe, Dragon Sea tribe, and the others also sneered. Lin Xian turned around and looked at these people. "What a bunch of idiots. Your eyes are too trashy. Don't you see the array in front? So, if you want to die, just go ahead. Damn it, how dare you mock us?" These people were furious. Suddenly they were stunned. "There's an array? What array is it? I don't believe it." A Saint race member from the Golden Crow race snorted and rushed forward. Pretending to be mysterious, "I want to see if there's an array." Before he could finish, he flew out because he was sent flying by the array. Half of his body turned into blood mist and half of his soul was destroyed. As he screamed in terror, the others also gasped in shock. The Dragon Sea Lord, the Lightning Dragon tribe's patriarch, and the others narrowed their eyes. What a terrifying formation. The dark red dragon snorted. "Stupid, now you know there's an array?" The Golden Crow race was about to vomit blood. This time they really kicked an iron board. There really was an array, and it was a supreme array. The Kunping race, Fire Qilin race, and the rest all walked forward. They looked at it carefully and then frowned. What a terrifying formation. "Lin Wudi, do you have a way?" They looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and said, "There is a way, but if you want to break the array, you have to listen to me completely." Once those words were spoken, the surrounding imperial clans all started to frown. Should he listen to the other party? What kind of joke was this? How high and mighty were their emperor clans? Now they were being ordered around by a youngster. They couldn't swallow this anger. The Fire Qilin sneered. "You want to order us around just like that? What if we don't agree?" Headmaster Z also snorted coldly. "That's right, we'll wait. I don't believe that you won't enter. If you can break the array formation, we'll follow you in." These people all had the same idea. Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. "Oh, you want to waste my time? Don't worry, I just got half of the lightning lock and I don't have time to cultivate. Wait here, I'll cultivate for a while." With that, he walked forward, sat down cross-legged, and began to absorb the lightning. Endless lightning circled around his body, making the people around him almost vomit blood. Damn it, their punches seemed to have hit cotton. The other party wasn't injured, but they were angered to the point of vomiting blood. What to do? If this continued, it would be disadvantageous for them. Not only did he get the lightning lock, but he also got a dragon spiritual tree and a dragon god crystal. Damn it, so much energy, it was enough for him to absorb for many years. What should they do? Should they continue to waste time with him? The Kunping race shook their heads. Kunping Z walked out and said, "Young Master Lin, if you have a way, I'm willing to help you." "Young Master Lin, please help us." Many remote antiquity families walked over. For example, Shizhu, the Golden Rock race, the White Crane race, etc. They all bowed respectfully towards Lin Xian. The Emperor race's faces were really ugly, but they could only grit their teeth and say, "Okay, we'll listen to you." Lin Xian glanced at them and said, "It's too late to agree now. I gave you a chance before, but it's impossible now." "What did you say?" The Fire Qilin was instantly furious. The 10,000 Dragon Empire and Z Mansion clenched their teeth. "Damn kid, don't be too arrogant. We've already agreed to help you. What else do you want?" "What do I want? If you have the ability, don't beg me. To break the formation myself. If you can't, you want to enter through me? Simple, hand over a portion of the resources to us. I won't let you pass for nothing. Damn, you dare to target us? Do you want to die?" The Fire Qilin and the others hollered. Mansion head Z gritted his teeth. The 10,000 Dragon Empire people were so furious that they fainted. This was their ancestors' tomb, okay? Lin Xian wasn't moved. "If you want me to break the formation, then each of you have to hand over a portion of lightning lock. I think you all snatched it before. If you didn't, then hand over an equivalent amount of god crystals. I'm not in a rush. I have time to wait for you all." After saying this, Lin Xian closed his eyes once more. The people around gritted their teeth. Damn, they didn't agree at all. They waited, but 10 days later they all collapsed. During these 10 days, the lightning aura from Lin Xian's body became more and more terrifying. They were all so anxious that they were about to go crazy. They had no choice but to negotiate. They were prepared to hand over some lightning lock or a portion of their resources in exchange. Of course, the amount wouldn't be as much as Lin Xian had said, but it was enough to show their sincerity. Lin Xian's lips curled up as he looked at the energy that these people handed over. Very good, he took a portion of it directly. Then he gave the remaining portion to the people of the Divine Union. After these people received it, they were all grinning from ear to ear. Many thanks to Boss Lin. Some of the other ancient families were also envious when they saw this. They were even considering whether they should join the Divine Union now. After all, Lin Xian was very generous to the people around him. Lin Wudi, this should be enough, right? Mansion head Zi was so angry that his face turned pale. He was also an overlord, but he couldn't do anything in front of Lin Xian. Ruffian dragon, you're here. Lin Xian said to the dark red dragon. The dark red dragon walked out and started to investigate the formation. The people from the emperor race were so angry that they almost vomited blood. After all this time, it still wasn't Lin Xian who was doing it himself. However, their expressions soon turned solemn. They could see that although the dark red dragon wasn't as strong as Lin Xian, its attainments in formation arrays were very strong. The other party had set up a few formations, which made the elders of the emperor race suck in a breath of cold air. What an exquisite formation array. I see hope now. This is great. These people were all excited. If they could enter the second hall, they would definitely take back what they had lost, said an elder of the Z government while frowning. Don't you think that he's using a kind of strength that only exists in legends? The purple mansion head frowned as well. His eyes flickered with a purple glow. This was also a powerful and ancient eye technique. He stared at it for a long time before he said, "That's right. Could it be that you are talking about the legendary Geomaster?" "No way," he exclaimed. "Wasn't the earthly scripture already lost? Even we don't have it." Chapter 5462. The Purple Government Mansion's Mansion Master was really shocked. Their Purple Government Mansion had many ancient lost techniques. However, there were many that they did not have. For example, the earthly scripture was something that they had always wanted but had no clue about. However, they did not expect that. Now they saw the shadow of the earthly scripture on the dragon in front of them. The appearance of an earthly master in front of them made the eyes of the Purple Mansion people fiery red. They also knew that an earthly master should be able to break the array of the main hall. This Lin Wudi was really terrifying. Not only was he powerful, but the people around him were also extremely extraordinary. A few days later, the dark red dragon had already set up the array. He said, "Stand on different terrains. Next, when I tell you to attack, you will attack according to the order." Although the people from the Monarch clan were unhappy to be ordered by a dragon, they could only do as he said. They could also see that the other party's array skills were very high. It had even reached an unfathomable level. These Monarch clan elders were shocked. They walked to different positions. Next, the dark red dragon began to command these people. The array was broken. Then it slowly opened. Great, it was a success. The surrounding people all laughed. The people from the Divine Union were also excited. Lin Xian also nodded. As expected of the ruffian dragon. He was indeed powerful. There was no need to say anything about his array skills. Go, everyone could not wait to enter. However, after entering they were all stunned. They felt a pressure that was like an ancient mountain pressing down on them. This pressure made them feel despair. How could it be so powerful? Now their joy was gone. Originally they thought that they could break the array and obtain the treasures inside. However, now, whether they could move or not was another matter. "Elder, why don't we go back?" A few of the young geniuses were about to cry. Even those people of the older generation had ugly expressions on their faces. "Quickly look at what's up there." The expert from the Twin of Destiny clan pointed at the top of the main hall. His voice was trembling. The others also looked up. In the next moment their scalps went numb. This was because there was a dragon circling above the main hall. The dragon's head looked down and its merciless gaze enveloped them. The supreme aura was being emitted from the dragon's body. It was too powerful. It was another kind of expert from the dragon race. Clearly this was the guardian of the second hall. Bai Susu and the others were also surprised. If the first hall was filled with lightning dragons of Nirvana, they couldn't help but wonder which dragons would be in the second hall. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were also shocked. Long Mu's brows were tightly knitted together. This aura made his hair stand on end. He sighed. Although his strength was strong and had surpassed the Saint Plane, it was still not enough. However, his identity was too special. He was also a tomb keeper, so he couldn't do anything here. He could only follow behind. If he were to make a move, he would be going against the Dragon Emperor's will. Their bodies and souls would be destroyed, and they would not be able to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Therefore he gritted his teeth. On one hand he hoped that he could obtain some treasures, but at the same time, he also hoped that these guardians could capture Lin Xian and the others in one fell swoop. Lord Longmu, where did these dragons come from? Long Wu of the Thousand Dragon Court asked. As the descendants of the Dragon Emperor, they were also incomparably sullen. They could make a move, but there were too many emperor races around them. They had no advantage. There was only one person from the 10,000 Dragon Court who could have the advantage here, and that was the Dragon Prince. However, he had already died. Longmu said. He felt a trace of heaven's aura. This should be the Azure Dragon. Azure Dragon Zhan Tian. At this moment, a loud voice rang out. It came from the huge dragon above. When the others heard this, they sucked in a breath of cold air. It was indeed the Azure Dragon. As for the name Zhan Tian, it was like thunder to their ears. Everyone from the Dragon clan had heard of it. Even the dark red divine dragon exclaimed in surprise. It was actually him. Lin Xian asked. Who was this person? Was he very powerful? He had seen the Azure Dragon race before. It was when he was in the second starfield. The Azure Dragons hadn't even entered the buried Emperor's star. Lin Xian felt that they weren't the top dragons. However, the dark red dragon shook his head. It wasn't such a carriage. However, the Azure Dragon Zhan Tian was an extremely terrifying existence back then. Do you remember the horn of the Azure Dragon? It was created by one of his dragon horns. It could command a group of dragons. During a certain period of time, he was a supreme existence. He was the king of dragons. However, he disappeared later on. The Azure Dragon race gradually declined. In the end, they could only go to other worlds. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard this. The king of dragons. This was an era when the Dragon Emperor didn't appear. One could imagine how terrifying the Azure Dragon Zhan Tian was. At the same time, Lin Xian was shocked. The Dragon Emperor was even more terrifying. He even brought such an expert of the Tao of Dragons to be the tomb keeper. Just how terrifying was the real Dragon Monarch? He didn't dare to imagine. The Dragon Sea Master was also shocked. Azure Dragon, the legendary Azure Dragon Zhan Tian's blood was extremely terrifying. It was an unparalleled treasure. He wondered if this was the treasure of the second hall. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. The monarch race's eyes were shining. As expected of the Dragon Emperor's tomb. The first hall was the lightning lake of the Annihilation Lightning Dragon. As for the second hall, it contained the dragon blood of the Azure Dragon Zhan Tian. The surrounding people were excited. The lightning lake had the supreme Tao of lightning. It had the power of destruction. As for the blood of the Azure Dragon, it was an unparalleled pressure. For example, now that they were standing here, they could feel the pressure of an ancient mountain. It was the blood of the Azure Dragon. If they could suck it out, they would have the same pressure on their bodies. Without even making a move, the aura was enough to topple mountains and overturn seas, turning countless people into ashes. When Lin Xian heard this, he narrowed his eyes. The blood of the Azure Dragon was indeed a good thing. It was also an unparalleled power. Where was the blood of the Azure Dragon? Everyone was puzzled. An elder of the Kunping race said. Legend had it that the Azure Dragon Zhan Tian had two dragon horns. One of them was broken and refined into the horn of the Azure Dragon. It could command a group of dragons. The other one was still preserved. This was most likely the place where the Azure Dragon's blood was. Hearing this, everyone raised their heads. They withstood the enormous pressure and looked up. Indeed, there was a single horn on the body of the huge dragon. That horn was very ancient. There were mysterious patterns on it, releasing a supreme aura. Such a strong pressure. It seemed to be the place where the Azure Dragon's blood was. It seemed that if they could get the Azure Dragon's horn, they could get the Azure Dragon's blood. Chapter 54-63. When they heard about the Azure Dragon's blood, their eyes lit up. An old man walked out from the Purple Palace's side. The old man held a broken sword in his hand, and his aura was incomparably terrifying. When the surrounding people saw him, they cried out in surprise. It was actually the old sword maestro. Had he also appeared? This was an extremely frightening old man. He was an extremely powerful sword Tao sacred ancestor. His appearance shocked countless people. The Purple Palace's foundation was simply too terrifying. It didn't lose out to the Emperor clans at all. Originally, the Purple Palace had lost Shadow Cultivator and severely injured a light-shaking Realm Cultivator. Who would have thought that such an expert in the sword Tao would appear? Was he going to make a move? Countless people stared at the old sword maestro with wide eyes. When Lin Xian saw the other party, his eyes also narrowed. An expert in the sword Dao? That was interesting. He could sense that the other party did indeed have a very powerful sword chi. Can he do it? The dark red dragon next to him asked. He wanted Lin Xian to hurry up and make a move so that the good stuff wouldn't be snatched away by others. Lin Xian, however, laughed. There was no rush. Let them make a move first. Let them see how powerful this azure battle dragon was. Under everyone's gazes, the old sword maestro walked forward. He raised his head to look at the sky, and the coiling azure dragon coldly harumphed. The broken sword in his hand slashed out. At this moment the sky was shattered and the earth was destroyed. Under this attack, everyone was shocked. Their bodies felt like they were about to be split apart. This old sword maestro was too terrifying. Even Lin Xian's eyes lit up. The other party was indeed very powerful. Murong Qingqing and the others were also shocked. This sword might be able to split the azure dragon in half. The massive azure dragon in the sky was expressionless. He still stood there, seemingly unmoved. When the attack landed on his body, it let out a heaven-shaking sound. The fiery light seemed to turn into thousands of suns, illuminating the world. What happened? Everyone looked carefully, but when they saw the result, they were stunned. It was such a shocking sword strike, but when it landed on the azure dragon's body, the azure dragon was unharmed. How was this possible? Everyone was stunned. The old sword maestro's pupils constricted. Impossible. He was very confident in his swordsmanship. In his opinion, there were not many people who could compete with him in swordsmanship. Even the powerful saint race couldn't withstand a single strike from him. Therefore he was extremely confident in this attack. However, not to mention splitting the other party apart, it didn't even cause any injuries. It was really too inconceivable. The azure dragon in the sky suddenly let out a low roar. Then he swung his tail over, and wherever it passed by, it seemed to have turned into a peerless divine sword. With a slash of the sword, the river of stars shattered, and heaven and earth lost all light. This attack was aimed at the old sword maestro. The old sword maestro's eyes narrowed. He didn't dare to be careless at all. With a roar of rage, the power of laws surged from his body, causing his Taoist robes to flutter. The broken sword in his hand slashed out like a shooting star. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Everyone was shaken to the point that their chi and blood were roiling. If this wasn't the Dragon Emperor's tomb, the entire world would have been split apart by this attack. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the old sword maestro continued to retreat. His arm had been split open, and the broken sword was dangling from his mouth. Saint blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. He was injured. When the people from the Purple Mansion saw this scene, they cried out in alarm. Not good. They were all worried for the old sword maestro. The other monarch race people also had ugly expressions. They knew the strength of the old sword maestro. Even he was defeated? In the sky, the azure dragon retracted his tail and didn't attack again. This made everyone heave a sigh of relief. However, their brows were tightly knitted. Although their lives weren't in danger, their eyes were filled with despair. Who could fight against such an azure dragon? It was too strong. The people from the Kunping race shook their heads and sighed. It was impossible to obtain the azure dragon's blood. Damn it, were they going to return empty-handed? The people from the Gu family were also gritting their teeth. This time they had spent a lot of effort to come here. In order to break the array they had paid a price. They had originally thought that entering the second palace would allow them to return everything they had lost. But now it seemed that everything was impossible. How could they be willing to accept this? If one couldn't do it, what about the others? The Fire Qilin stood out. He was also unwilling. He gritted his teeth and said, "Let's join forces. Alright, this is the only way." The Purple Mansion's mansion lord also walked out. Next, the Kunping race. Gujia. The Golden Crow race and the others joined forces. They sent out 10 experts. These 10 top-notch experts included a sword expert like the old sword maestro, as well as the Fire Qilin and the Kunping race. It could be said that the lineup was incomparably terrifying. Kill. With a roar, they rushed into the 9 heavens. All sorts of powerful supreme divine abilities. The battle sword slashed the world. The Qilin's arm. The Kunping's roar, the fury of yin and yang. All sorts of ultimate skills exploded in an instant. The surrounding people were also shocked. Who could fight against such power? The azure dragon also moved. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. This time it wasn't just the azure dragon's tail. The azure dragon's claws, eyes, and body all attacked. Every strike was imbued with unparalleled power that tore everything apart. He collided with the 10 top-notch experts. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Even the void of the main hall cracked. A terrifying power swept in all directions. The 10 top-notch experts were all forced back and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. It was too strong. It was so strong that everyone felt despair. How could it be like this? The Kunping race was shocked. The Fire Qilin also had a sinister expression. The old sword maestro and the others also shook their heads and sighed. Was there no hope? Some people looked towards the Thousand Dragon Court. After all, there was an expert like Long Mu here. However, the old sword maestro snorted coldly. It was useless. Don't look at him. He was the tomb keeper. He couldn't make a move. Otherwise, his heart and soul would be destroyed. Long Mu snorted coldly. The others felt despair. Elder Gu Xiao of the Gu family also had a cold expression. Since they couldn't join forces, they would use their final trump card. As he said that, he took out the void mirror. A powerful extreme force swept in all directions. The others were also shocked. The other Emperor race members also took out extreme weapons. That's right, they still had extreme weapons. Although they didn't have much power to support extreme weapons. For the sake of the Azure Dragon's blood, they decided to make a move. That's great. The Emperor race members clenched their fists. Once the extreme weapons were taken out, no matter how strong the dragons were, they couldn't resist. This Azure Dragon was also no match for them. The faces of the people from the Divine Union also changed. He said, Lin Xian, this is not good. We have to make a move too. Lin Xian nodded. He didn't expect these Emperor race members to be so impatient. They had used their Emperor race weapons so quickly. At the same time, this also showed how terrifying the Azure Dragon above was. It had already made these Emperor race members despair. He took a deep breath and prepared to use the power of the ancient desolate tower. Chapter 54-64. Just as everyone wanted to use their extreme weapons to fight against the Azure Dragon, the situation changed. The Azure Dragon in the sky roared, and his remaining dragon horn suddenly burst out with a blood-red light. A terrifying dragon roar sounded in the sky. Then, the 10,000 Dragons diagram suddenly flew out from the 10,000 Dragons court side. It flew into the sky. It arrived in front of Azure Dragon Zhantian. In the next moment, the 10,000 Dragons diagram erupted with an extremely terrifying power that swept in all directions. Everyone felt like they were about to be destroyed at this moment. Fortunately, they had all brought extreme-grade weapons with them, so they managed to block the attack. However, the monarch race's expressions became ugly. They felt that their extreme power was suppressed here. The people from the 10,000 Dragons court were also shocked. What was going on? The 10,000 Dragons diagram was actually out of control. Long Mu's expression was ugly. She gritted her teeth and said, I advise you all not to use your extreme weapons. This is the Dragon Emperor's tomb, and the 10,000 Dragons diagram can fully awaken at any time. It might even use the Dragon Emperor's power to crush you all. At that time, it's not certain if you can leave alive. Hearing this, the monarch race's expressions turned ugly. Damn it, how could it be like this? The Fire Qilin roared, and Kunping Zi was also unwilling. The Sword Elder closed his eyes and sighed. He shook his head. Mansion Master Zi helplessly put away the dragon pattern cauldron. The others also took action and put away their extreme weapons. When the extreme aura disappeared, the 10,000 Dragons diagram in the sky descended again. It returned to Long Mu and the others. The terrifying destructive aura also disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It really was like that. It seemed that they couldn't use their extreme weapons casually in the Great Emperor's tomb. But what could they do? With their strength, they couldn't obtain the Azure Dragon's blood at all. Could it be that they had to return empty-handed? The second hall was already so terrifying. If they went further, would they still have a chance? Gu Xiao said that they might have a chance later. The Golden Crow race's sacred ancestor was right. They could give up on the second hall and continue to go deeper. However, at this moment, Long Mu shook her head again. Azure Dragon Zhantian was the guardian of the second hall. If you can't defeat him, you can't continue. Stupid things. I advise you all to scram back. My Dragon Emperor's tomb is not a place for you to behave atrociously. The people from the 10,000 Dragon dynasty also laughed savagely. Now, they could see that even if they obtained treasures by following these people, it would be pitifully little. Instead, all the good things would be taken away by others. Since that was the case, they naturally didn't want these people to continue moving forward. It would be best if they were killed or beaten back. Therefore, they were the happiest people in this scene. Did he really have to go back? The expressions of these monarch clan members were also ugly. On the other side, the members of the Divine Union were also frowning. What should they do? They all looked at Lin Xian. Would Lin Xian have a solution this time? Lin Xian took a deep breath as a cold light burst out from his eyes. Go back? Impossible. He didn't have enough resources, so he couldn't go back. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian walked forward. He walked out. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all dumbfounded. Look, Lin Wuti has come out. What is he trying to do? Did he want to fight against Song Long? What kind of joke was this? Who did he think he was? Something that so many of us couldn't do. How could he possibly do it? Everyone looked at Lin Xian's figure and shook their heads. Some of them sneered. They didn't believe it at all. So what if Lin Xian was strong? He couldn't use his extreme weapon here. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, his strength was limited. In fact, even the people from the Divine Union were puzzled. What was Boss Lin going to do? Was he going to use the Great Dragon Sword Soul or the Rinnegan? But even if he used these two absolute arts, would he be able to defeat War Dragon Azure Dragon? One had to know that Song Long could fully awaken his extreme weapon when necessary. He was already in an invincible position. Lin Xian walked forward and looked up at Song Long, who was circling in the sky. He took a deep breath. In the next moment he said in a deep voice, I don't want to hurt you. I only need that Song Long's blood. Give me your Song Long horn. A calm voice sounded and spread to the surroundings. The surrounding people were stunned. This guy thought that he could get that Song Long horn just by saying a few words? What a joke. Fire Qilin, Zifu and the rest sneered. Long Mu and the rest of the Thousand Dragon Court also snorted. In the sky, the terrifying heaven-battling Azure Dragon slowly lowered his head. He let out a loud and clear voice. Human, do you think you can get my Song Long horn? That's impossible. Leave quickly or I will destroy all of you. The surrounding people were stunned when they heard this voice. Long Mu and the rest were also stunned. Azure Dragon Zhantian actually spoke, and it was to Ling Xian. Damn it, how was this possible? This kid is too strange, isn't he? Previously, they had used their extreme weapon, but Song Long couldn't even speak. Now that Lin Wuti had stood out, he had caused such a phenomenon. It was unbelievable. How did this guy do it? The people from the Zifu couldn't believe it. The Gu family gritted their teeth. The people from the Thousand Dragon Court were even more confused. Why did it feel like Ling Xian was the one who was related to the Dragon Emperor? Their 10,000 Dragon Dynasty couldn't do anything here. When he heard Song Long's words, Lin Xian shook his head. I can leave, but I have to get that Song Long blood first. Otherwise I won't leave. Lin Xian's voice was firm. He didn't back down. Song Long snorted coldly in the sky. He exuded a powerful aura that pressed down on Ling Xian. Lin Xian stomped his foot and a ray of sword chi shot out from his body, piercing through the sky. He split the pressure apart. He said, It's useless. No one can make me back down. Human, you are not my match. Song Long said coldly. Even if you take out the energy of the Thousand Dragon Picture and the Great Dragon Sword Spirit, you won't be able to defeat me. Unless you are a boundary emperor. It was obvious that Song Long could sense two powerful forces from Lin Xian. They were the Heaven-Devouring Jar and the Great Dragon Sword Spirit. However, Lin Xian said, I am not a quasi-emperor, but I believe that I can contend against you in this battle. Because I have this. With that, Lin Xian flipped his palm and the void split open. He took out a treasure. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked forward. They also wanted to see what trump card Lin Wuti had to be so confident in front of Song Long. Even the people from the Divine Union were curious and looked up. When they saw the treasure in Lin Xian's hand, they were all stunned. Long Mu exclaimed, This is impossible. How can you have such a thing? They all went crazy. The people from the Kunping race and the Gu family were also shocked. Is it really that thing? I'm not dreaming, am I? Chapter 5465. Song Dragon Zhantian was too powerful, causing everyone to feel despair. Therefore they felt that, even if Lin Xian walked out, it would be useless. However, Lin Xian on the other hand had a trump card. When he took it out, everyone around him was stunned. The dragons were all dumbfounded. A treasure appeared in Lin Xian's hand. It was a dragon horn, simple and ancient, with mysterious patterns on it. It floated in his palm just like that. Dragon horn. Someone realized that it was a dragon horn. Moreover, the aura it gave off was very familiar. It was the same as Song Dragon Zhantian's dragon horn. It was that Song Dragon horn. How could this be? 10,000 Dragons Court, Long Mu and the others roared in disbelief. The other emperors were also going crazy. How could Lin Wuti have a Song Dragon horn? Moreover, it was Song Dragon Zhantian's. The head of the Purple Mansion frowned. The Tsang dragon horn had been missing for tens of thousands of years and it was in the hands of this kid. Damn it, was this his trump card? No wonder he was so confident. The people of the Divine Union laughed out loud. Bai Susu and the others were excited. Tsang dragon horn? Great, with this item they might be able to win. Tsang dragon Zhan Tian roared in the sky. Boundless energy exploded from his body, sweeping out in all directions. The people around him felt as if they were about to face a great enemy. To be honest, he was also shocked that Lin Xian had this item. His horn had been missing for tens of thousands of years and now he had seen it again. Lin Xian grabbed the Tsang dragon horn and said, "That's right, I have the Tsang dragon horn. I can fight with you." Lin Xian's eyes shone with confidence. Tsang dragon Zhan Tian snorted coldly. "Young man, I am surprised that you can take my Tsang dragon horn. However, you are not qualified to fight with me." As he spoke, he swung his tail, which turned into a peerless divine sword and slashed towards Lin Xian. The old sword maestro who had defeated the Violet Mansion realm, had displayed great power with this move. Now it was attacking Lin Xian, shocking everyone. Lin Xian roared and activated the great dragon sword soul. At the same time he grabbed the Tsang dragon horn. Then he blew it up. A loud dragon roar resounded in all directions. At this moment, countless dragon shadows appeared around him, as if they were kneeling down and submitting to him. The surrounding Wind Dragon tribe, Lightning Dragon tribe, and Dragon Sea tribe were all dumbfounded. Their bodies began to tremble. Damn it! The people of the 10,000 Dragon dynasty were the same. They raised their heads and roared. The 10,000 Dragon picture descended and cut off this aura. The Dragon Horns was the Dragon Horn? It was rumored that the Azure Dragon Horn commanded the heroes. In the era when the Dragon Emperor did not appear, he was the king of the dragon race. A dragon Zhan Tian was indeed. Although the surrounding people from the Monarch clan did not kneel, they still felt a supreme pressure from this voice. Lin Dragon, Lin Zhan Dragon Zhan Dragon's Dragon, the Dragons Dragon Zhan the Zhan Dragon King. Boom. 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 Between heaven and earth, there was the sound of collision. The clanking of chains kept circling around, making one's scalp tingle. Going against me is your biggest mistake. Boom. 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 The other Tsang dragon horn on his head shone with a blood-red light. Then it aimed at Lin Xian. At this moment heaven and earth shook. Everyone felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Retreat. Retreat. The Phoenix tribe, Qilin tribe and Kunpeng tribe roared crazily. As for the ancient families, their scalps went numb. They couldn't resist at all and could only seek the protection of these emperor tribes. The emperor tribes didn't dare to be careless. They took out their extreme Dao auras and formed shields to block the attack. They knew that boom. 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 So what if Lin Wudi has a Tsang dragon horn? The entire hall started to shake violently. The surrounding void started to shatter as it was unable to withstand the power of Azure Dragon War Sky. Boom. 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 Thousands of black holes appeared in the sky. The light suddenly dimmed. Everyone seemed to have fallen into endless darkness. They trembled in fear and used their extreme Dao auras to defend themselves. Boom. 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 So what if you're the Dragon King? So what if you have the Tsang dragon blood? I Lin Xian hold the Tsang dragon horn and command the dragons. Boom. 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 Submit. Boom. 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 Lin Xian soared into the sky. Boom. 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 Listen to my command. Submit. Boom. 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 Could Lin Wudi succeed? They didn't know. Even the Divine Union and Murong Qingqing were nervous. They were worried for Lin Xian. On the other side, the people from the Thousand Dragon Court were gnashing their teeth. Lord Tsang Dragon, you have to kill him. You can't let Lin Wudi go on like this. They were really afraid. Even Long Mu couldn't help but attack again. Bus. Boom. 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 Everyone was shocked. Had he really done it? That was unbelievable. The Thunder Dragon's clan leader's eyes narrowed. The Wind Dragons were also shocked. Could he really command the Tsang Dragon? Impossible. The leader of the Purple Mansion clenched his teeth. Lin Wudi had gained another powerful force. So what? The Fire Qilin snorted. Boom. It was just a draw. Boom. 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 He was furious and a terrifying light erupted from his eyes. He couldn't accept being challenged by a human. In the next moment, an even more terrifying light burst forth from his azure dragon horn. At the same time he bared his fangs and brandished his claws, beginning to absorb the energy flowing in the hall. Boom, boom, boom. Get out of here. The people from the Gu family exclaimed when they sensed the change. Elder Gu Shao led his men and used the power of the Void Realm to retreat. Chapter 5466. The members of the Gu clan left the main hall. Following that, the other clans and sects also left one after another. That was because the aura inside was simply too terrifying. They couldn't resist it at all. The Divine Union couldn't resist it either. Although they had two extreme weapons, they couldn't fully awaken them. What should they do? Should they attack? Yan Ryu asked. Murong Qingqing exclaimed. Brother Xian? Lin Xian said. You guys leave first. Don't worry about me. I have a way. Upon hearing this, Murong Qingqing said, Okay, we'll leave first. They also left the main hall. Only Cang Long and Lin Xian were left in the second hall. Cang Long's power was getting more and more terrifying. Humans are useless. You can't resist it. Even if you have the Cang Long horn, you can't suppress me. Unless you're a boundary emperor. Lin Xian snorted. A boundary emperor? I'm not, but I have another kind of power. A mysterious power appeared from the divine flame seed between his eyebrows and spread throughout his body. The moment this power appeared, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Heaven and earth reversed. A shocking light appeared in the surroundings. Flames danced between heaven and earth. Cang Long was stunned. Taking care of the aura? Could it be? He was really shocked. Why did he feel a trace of a boundary emperor's power from Lin Xian? That shouldn't be the case. Lin Xian was just a great sage. She was at a loss. In the next moment, Lin Xian roared and activated his power again. With the power of the divine flame seed, Lin Xian became even more terrifying. He rushed over. Boom. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. The second hall was completely drowned by this power. The people outside the hall were shocked when they sensed the remaining power. Their scalps went numb. The people from the Purple Mansion sneered. This time, Lin Wudi was going to die in there. The Golden Crow tribe's divine ancestor snorted. That was for sure. He couldn't block it. Shut up. Murong Qingqing's eyes shone with a cold light. She looked at these people and said, What's going to happen to Brother Xian? I won't let you have it easy. Yan Ryu also walked out. She took out the green lotus and said in a deep voice, I will bury you all with me. The green lotus released an extreme aura, and the Golden Crow race's face turned green. The faces of the Z government's people also darkened. How hateful. He actually dared to threaten them. Suddenly at this time, a terrifying dragon roar came from the front, shocking everyone. What's going on? What happened? They all looked into the second hall, but the laws were flying around inside, and they couldn't see anything. Lin Xian stood in the midst of the chaos, his expression extremely solemn. The divine flame between his eyebrows also disappeared, and his face turned pale. Many cracks appeared on his body. The attack just now had damaged his 9-yang divine body. It was too terrifying. Fortunately, he had the seed of divine flame and the azure dragon horn. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to block that attack. This azure dragon battling the heavens was indeed worthy of being called the king of dragons. The other party was already this horrifying even before becoming a quasi-emperor. Xiao Qin felt that the other party was even more terrifying than Long Mu. At this moment, azure dragon battling the heavens stopped attacking him and floated there. The other azure dragon horn on his head also broke off, and then turned into azure dragon blood that covered the sky, enveloping Lin Xian. The power of the azure dragon blood was too terrifying. When Lin Xian got close, he felt his body rumble. Good stuff. Lin Xian's eyes lit up, and he raised his hand to keep it. He used the heaven-devouring jar to swallow all the azure dragon blood, and then transferred it to the sword world. Great, other than the Luais, Lin Xian also obtained the azure dragon blood. The azure dragon blood was also useful to him. Not only could it increase the power of the seed of divine flame, but it could also increase his bloodline, physique, and aura. He didn't know how powerful he would become in the future. Lin Xian was looking forward to it. Outside, the Gu family, Z government, and the others were bewildered. What happened? Suddenly, they realized that the terrifying aura in the second hall was slowly disappearing. The light also dimmed. Then it disappeared. The result was out. All of them rushed in. Let's go. The Divine Union and the others were even faster. Murong Qingqing led a group of people in. When they entered, they were stunned again. At this moment the attacks in the sky had disappeared, and the hall was calm again. If they hadn't experienced it themselves, they wouldn't have believed that there had been a huge battle. Why didn't they attack that kid? To the disappointment of the Z government, they saw Lin Xian. Lin Xian stood there, his body covered in blood and his face pale. However, it seemed like his foundation wasn't hurt. Could it be that he had blocked it? No way, Azure Dragon Zhantian didn't kill him. Was it because of the Azure Dragon Horn? Even the people from the 10,000 Dragons court raised their heads to look. However, when they saw Azure Dragon Zhantian in the sky, they were dumbfounded. Where was the Azure Dragon Horn? The other Azure Dragon Horn was gone. Damn it. Could it be that Lin Wuti had obtained the Azure Dragon blood? Countless eyes fell on Lin Xian. Kid, did you get it? The old sword man walked out, his voice sharp. On the other side, Elder Gu Zhao's eyes lit up. Hand it over. Do you want to keep it for yourself? Impossible. The Fire Qilin was furious. Their eyes were red. The Azure Dragon blood was so scary and mysterious. If they had obtained it, they would have benefited greatly. But now, all of them were obtained by Lin Xian alone. How could they not be jealous? Lin Xian turned around and sneered. You want to attack me? Have you thought it through? I'm afraid you can't bear the consequences of going against me. The power of reincarnation exploded in his eyes. He took out the heaven-devouring jar. At the same time, Murong Qingqing and Yen Ryu walked out and took out 2 more Emperor weapons. If you don't accept it, fight. Damn it. The people from the Z government gritted their teeth and joined forces. We also have quite a lot of extreme weapons. The Gu family, the Qilin tribe, the Z government, and the Thousand Dragon Court had 4 extreme weapons. Long Mu of the Thousand Dragon Court was also furious. Hand it over. It belongs to the Thousand Dragon Court. He was going crazy. If he could obtain some of the Azure Dragon blood, he might be able to become a true boundary emperor. How could he not make a move? These people walked forward together. Lin Xian snorted. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Then he waved his hand and took out the Azure Dragon horn. I forgot to tell you that Azure Dragon Zhantian has acknowledged me. I can use the Azure Dragon horn to make him attack. Do you think you can resist? After saying that, Lin Xian activated the Azure Dragon horn. The Azure Dragon War Sky also let out a low roar. Damn it, why did it turn out like this? Long Mu gritted his teeth. The other people from the Emperor tribe also had ugly expressions. If Azure Dragon Zhantian attacked, they would have no chance. Previously, they had wanted to use their extreme weapons to attack Azure Dragon Zhantian. In the end, they were almost scared away. Now, if Lin Wuti and the people from the Divine Union and Azure Dragon Zhantian attacked them together, they would not be able to resist.